He's not getting paid. 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 He's not getting paid.
All right. We're back. It's been a 2-week hiatus, and we have a special guest with me. We got Nick Silverhatch, Lonnie, Easy Money, me, Juicin', and we actually have Tough Enough Jr. in here. I mean, Trent, voice of reason.
Wow. Seriously.
Special. I'll take special.
We could do that. Oh, we forgot to mention Tough's name. That was a special intro mix by Trent.
That's a vintage mix. My kids actually like that.
There you go.
It's his ringtone I made like 10 years ago.
And then he sent me this too because I'm going to be using this all night.
I lied to America.
Oh, that's not the right one.
That's Sean.
Hold on, there you go. Right. This one.
Tough can eat a dick.
There you go.
Yeah, when I start getting all these, when we were doing the shows years ago, the Village Radio and RSD and all that, I really had a lot of fun with the editing. And, what I was doing, I would listen to it in my gravel truck. And I kept a notepad with me. When I heard something, I would have it on my iPod, like the big ones, the old school ones. And I'd hear something cool, and I'd write down the time signature, and I go home and I'd edit all the stuff and clip it. And I have things that people never want me to play again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The arsenal runs deep.
Huh? Yeah, right.
The arsenal runs deep.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I have. When we were doing the Village shows, I got a clear one of Hyder saying something about he can't wait for you to stick a finger up his butt or something like that. Because he was prank calling people on Craigslist, like cookers and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's some of the sound clips, like out of context. Yeah, they're terrible. Nice. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, so hi.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm good. I feel like I was driving back to PRI coming back here.
He lives on the north side, and we're on the south side. And
north side, I feel. Jesus. I mean, I was just like, hey, follow the smokestacks. We're right next door. I mean, that's all I needed to know.
Well, Northsiders don't have a sense of time either.
Yeah. I have a sense of time.
I'll be there in like 18 minutes.
Yeah, no, not. As soon as I looked at it, I'm thinking an hour and 30 minutes without traffic. And then I come down today, it's like hour and 45, hour and 46, hour and 47. I was like, oh, no, please stop.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you get when you take the worst way possible.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's really no good way possible at that time of day from where I live, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's what happens.
I know, but now it's cool. I'm hanging around with old friends. I feel like I'm in a middle of a Judas Priest video with all this leather and motorcycles.
There you go. Got their assless chaps on and everything. We're all ready to go.
And for those of you listening at home, we may be so high by the end of the show that we won't be able to know how to shut it off because somebody spilled something in here and
we spilled aircraft stripper.
What's her name? The chemical.
Yeah, the chemical. Right. And it isn't as bad as it was this morning, but yeah, it was pretty freaking brutal. That's for sure.
I was high when I walked in, anyways.
Yeah, you're gonna say, Lonnie, they're gonna be like two for 1. Free.
Lonnie's gonna be normal.
We call them freebies.
Might have a reverse effect.
Right.
Yeah. He's going to be all educated. Let's talk science and physics.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. That'd be fantastic. Have you ever heard about the equilibrium theory?
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about the black hole.
Get this man some weed.
Well, yeah, we figured we'd have you on because...
Your other guest canceled?
Who?
I don't know.
No one else. Yeah.
Just figured
like, we need a guest. This guy's out of a job. Call him.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only other one that was going to come on is Joey Boost 12, but we call him the first round clown.
Oh, wow. At this point, all I hear is Joey going, suck dick. That's like his stock response to everything.
We call him Zach's bitch.
Wow. Yeah, I seen Joey down at PRI last weekend.
Yeah.
As usual.
Unfortunately, I was fucking sick for 10 plus days.
You're not supposed to look through the glory hole.
Yeah, we're all kidding.
Yeah, right.
Listerine, dude. Listerine kills germs.
Fuck, got poked in my eye.
Is that pink eye? No, not exactly.
Next up, pinks.
Oh, God. As a side note, I have to tell you guys now. Again, those of you listening home may or may not know this. Obviously, I did the internet radio shows like 10 years ago with Tuff and Village Guys and all that. it's cool to see how the stuff's evolved, but I like how you mix the videos into it.
Yeah.
And the pink
Yeah.
shit, dude, I was dying.
Yeah, because I figured it was going to be
Dustin,
hilarious.
and then
He
Rich
did-
Christian,
Dustin,
I'm like, oh my
Dustin,
God.
Dustin made a comment and then deleted it like 2 hours later. So I don't think he wanted anybody knowing that was him or whatever.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I wasn't trying to rip on him or nothing.
No,
you
it's
know,
dude,
yeah.
it's good memories. But
Yeah.
if you didn't know that was him, you wouldn't know that was him. Like he's
Exactly.
totally
yeah,
different
yeah,
dude.
he's skinny now.
He's like
Oh.
half of himself. It's
Yeah.
like, crack did me good.
That's why I figured we'd watch it and you could see what.
No, it's
we
fun.
know.
Yeah, the editing, I don't know if you're doing
yeah.
that.
I was doing it. Yeah,
It's
just-
super.
yeah.
It's super cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's not so polished that you're like, wow, this looks like they paid for this. But it's not like check out my new podcast,
Yeah.
boy.
No,
It's
I mean
good,
it
bro.
ain't. We ain't trying to be millionaires over here.
No.
You're not trying to be somebody you're not.
Yeah, exactly. We're just
lot of that
bullshitting,
going
and
on.
eventually the stories will run out, and that's
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
that's it.
In the
It is
meantime,
what it
it's up there, and a lot of people like that one. So it we'll do it when the Nate one. Nate said he'd do the next one
Oh, yeah?
until we race
Pritchett?
Pritchett. Yeah. So, and we'll do the same thing with it. And
Yeah, you got to get Skin on here.
oh, I'm gonna get
And then you're gonna have to
skin.
put a wall between him and Lonnie.
Oh,
The two of
man.
them will be nonstop. But if you want the
That dude's a
trifecta,
riot.
how many mic inputs you got in this thing?
4. Well, actually 4.
Four?
4, and then 5 technically because you have a USB, a Bluetooth, and a phone.
Okay,
So 7.
so what you need to do is you want the ultimate round table. You may have to fly him up, but he's got a personal jet now. Is you need to get Hyder in here.
Yeah, I know, right?
You got to get Hyder, and you got to obviously have Lonnie, and you got to get Skin in here. And then if you open the garage door, you need to get Mikey Paulo in here. And then you can sell tickets. Like, it would be glorious. Like, it would be just a whole reunion of just total
Yeah.
tomfoolery.
And yeah, exactly. Paulo, aka Bad TA, would just kind of be the.
Hi, Mikey.
What was the talk show that had the dude sitting in the back window just sipping the cup, Tom Green or whatever?
Oh,
the dude,
yeah.
that's Paulo.
Yeah,
Oh.
kind of. He's like, yeah, no problem. I just bought another truck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell this one. You'll buy one. I'll buy this one.
Yeah.
Like he's got a hat that he flips inside out if he's Ford or Chevy today. You know?
He's opposite Lucas Weldon. Like Lucas flips his stuff and makes money or chops him up.
Yeah.
Bad TA just does the opposite. He buys it and then just chops it up and loses a whole bunch of money
I was
and
asking-
continues to.
I was asking him, like, Mikey, how do you not lose money? He goes, well, you just got to do it at the right time. I'm like, what? Like before you hang yourself for losing all that money? I don't really get it.
Fucking Berta.
Yeah, no
Oh.
kidding.
But-
Might fall off to Lonnie. You might want to be careful.
Oh,
Might be a
yeah.
little
I
sketchy.
didn't put it on.
Losing it up and tightening it up. Yeah, it's been moved around.
That's why you can't be high when you put the microphone.
I did
This is a
not
very
put it on
this is
there.
a very expensive podcast
He
table.
was not high. Which
Yeah,
is
this looks like a
probably what happened.
55-gallon drum. I'm no
It is,
expert or anything.
with a piece of wood on top that
Yeah,
burnt.
but look at it, it's singed.
Yeah, I singed it to make it look.
Is this out of the old
good.
shop or what? I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, we're golden now.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, for the record, it was not my install.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not much. Yeah, there's fucking barely anything holding on. This isn't supposed to move around either.
Oh, well.
But
We are kind of.
so yeah, I guess we'll go to the backstory of Trent.
Oh, boy.
How he was the street racer that never was. And,
Wow,
But
wow, we're
but
gonna just go
but
there
hey,
right now. All
it
right.
worked out, and you did other things, and you made your name, and
Kind of, yeah.
So-
I mean, I can give you like the long story if you want for the
well, we
folks
know you
listening
love to
at home.
type. We know you love to type stories and
Yeah,
and
write
paragraphs
books.
and yeah.
Is that wrong?
So we are limited to 1 hour here. So
What 1 hour? What kind of half-cut rate bullshit is this?
it's the callers called in and said keep it to 1 hour,
Oh.
especially if Trent's coming in.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Surveys in.
Yeah.
Get him a muzzle. Long and short of it is, I got involved in like announcing and track management and all that stuff.
Yeah, but what did you do before?
Well,
Like
I mean,
when you were gonna, did you ever street race?
Of
or-
course. I mean, just in the 90s, unfortunately, I was in college in Alabama during like the mid 90s when it was really pretty hot up here.
Yeah.
Or like Schaumburg, where I'm from, north side, which you guys could, if you look at a map, you'll find that it's way up there.
Yeah, we try to. We try to stay away.
It's kind of like Doty with less bullets. That's pretty much what it was. But it was super hot during the middle, and I was down in Alabama terrorizing people with a fucking nitrous big block pickup truck, basically. They're like, that truck ain't that fast. I got a small block in this Jeep. I'm like, well, I got 100. It says that's a piece of shit. Okay, you're on, boy. I had a lot of fun. It was fun. I came up here and, started getting involved in the F-body stuff. And, back when, like a 12-0 car was a big deal.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
it's bolt-ons. It goes 12-0s. Watch out. Now it's like, what the fuck, seriously? And you guys may or may not remember back in 2000 when I got hurt. I busted my leg on vacation.
No.
And I started announcing at RSD because Tuff was announcing it, and then he went on his honeymoon from his wedding. I was in a wheelchair with a busted leg, so I started announcing from a wheelchair. He's like, "Hey, could you cover for me?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" I've never announced a day in my life. I'm like, "Hello, welcome to the racetrack." Like I'm like, "Is this on? Hello, hello, hello." I mean, I felt like like a roadie, like 1, 2, syphilis, So it just kind of progressed from there. A lot of announcing and what worked out well.
So that was before RSD, or
no? That was actually at RSD.
Yeah.
RSD started, and we did two exhibition events in '99.
Yeah.
And just to test the concept, and then it started a full season in 2000. And Streetcar Chaos came in 2001, and I was working at both of those. Which Chaos, I don't know if you guys know the story. It's actually kind of funny. The first one that Denny did with Dave. I don't even remember his name.
Did he own the track or something?
No, it's just the two of them rented the track together and did a bunch of word of mouth, and like 2,200 people showed up or some shit. Oh, it was huge. And we'd heard about it, obviously through Chi-Town and all the other stuff. And I'm trying to think, actually, Chi-Town was a thing back then. I don't think it was. Yeah. I think that was, between MFBA, LS6, NSSR. I mean, I can't even keep them all straight. And so I was like, I told Brian, so I want to go down there and check it out, see how they do it. And so we went down there, and he grabbed a couple of wireless mics and threw it back. I'm like, what the fuck are you bringing those for? It's just going on like a charitable thing, goodwill. Hi, we're from the north side. How? Right. That sort of thing, make peace. And I told him, we just came down to hang out and see how you guys do. If you need anything, let me know. And about an hour later, he comes to me. He's like, yes, I have no idea what's going on here. Because he had just told a bunch of friends, it is the South Side, man. Y'all, it's a hardcore area down here. I've always maintained that. And like 225 cars showed up.
Holy fuck.
And it was like 1,600 people. I had my number before. It was a huge crowd for word of mouth. And they were totally unprepared. So I pretty much just said, well, sure. We kind of walked into it and started announcing and organizing lanes and shit. And as we kind of fast forward through that, it kind of became known that I just kind of had a talent for doing it. And it was good for me because it allowed me to stay involved when I couldn't really afford to build a car.
Or relevant.
Wow. Calm down. We're a little too far south. But no, so, it was just, it became my way of being part of the community.
Yeah.
And, it just kind of grew to where it is now. And, obviously then we started KOTS in 08, and that was kind of a big deal. And, now here we are with Anarchy. I like the bomb, but I didn't take the masking paper.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't stick to it, so it stayed down with the masking tape.
For real?
Yeah.
That's weird. Did you forget to clean it?
We'll have to message Greg from Sticker Dude.
Well, I have more with me. We can fix that.
Yeah, we'll see. It's been like that forever. Just leave it.
Yeah, but it's ghetto as shit.
That's the point.
Wow. Wow. So anyway, so that's pretty much how we got to be where we are today. And now I'm like some sort of promoter genius guru or something, which is absolutely all lies. But, I like doing it. I like putting the races on, and, people leave. There's a game
the sport needs people like you. I mean, it's,
Well, yeah, it almost sounds wrong, but I know what you mean. It takes people in all corners.
It does. It really does. Yeah.
And that's when, I've had people that are like, well, where's your racing credentials? I'm like, dude, I broke my leg and started announcing. I'm like, 20 years ago, and here I am. What do you want to tell you?
And to be honest with you, you do it good enough, and you watch I don't know if it was the no prep ones originally or whoever was doing it. Like the dude trying to announce was just horrible.
There are,
you got to be like,
even in our racing, class racing, there are some horrible announcers where they talk real slow.
Well, and
that's a burnout, folks.
Yeah.
It's
right.
like you get
You
people
can tell
that
they're
are
reading.
just,
Let's see, and we have
you
in
get
the
the
right
Well,
lane.
the cool thing
Joseph,
that
the Oz are terrible.
the nice thing is you evolved announcing while racing evolved too. Like you talk about 13-second, 12-second cars. The first RSD guys bringing out these cars, you went 11 something, you were fast.
Right, watch the evolution of it, sure.
But the evolution, that helps. Like if you were to just start right now, you knew nothing, just try to announce right now with racing the way it is now.
It'd be hard.
It'd be really hard to.
The sport was changing in 2000.
It's. Look at it where it is now versus where it was 20.
But that probably helped you.
Oh, absolutely, because it helps, and I'm trying to get the mic angle right because if I talk right into it, it's way too loud.
I can turn it down.
No, that's okay. No,
And you have a headphone volume too.
I don't
so,
know. That's
yeah.
as long as my
I
levels
think this
are
is
fine.
direct. It's supposed to be direct.
Oh, is it direct?
Yeah.
I see them talking over it. So
Yeah.
all right, well,
That's directly under my mouth.
We'll just Photoshop.
open up. Is this me number 4 right there?
You are number 4.
All right,
Yeah.
that's why I can just keep an eye
Yeah.
where I'm at. Anyway, so where was I going with this? You were talking about announcing and just like kind of coming up with the scene and whatnot, and it's important because that allows you to, you know, kind of give the crowd like a feeling for where these people came from. Like there's a connection there of sorts. Whereas like I've done some announcing at other tracks. I did Shannon Morgan's deal down in Texas in 2016, all 4 events, and I told her, I said, I'd love to come down, but please understand this is not my crowd.
Yeah.
Like I don't know these guys like I know my
so
guys.
the names aren't going to roll off your tongue.
Right. Like, you know, I just, you know,
You try to hype up the guys up here when they come up, like, hey, this is who
exactly
he won this. Like, you don't know
exactly
the
Now,
people.
Interesting story about that. When I did her races, I had a fella in the tower with me named Doug Johnson, and Doug Johnson was working for Texas Drag Racing Magazine. Okay, he was just, you know, reporting, but he knew everybody there, so he's like my little Rolodex sitting next to me. I'd be like, all right, folks, coming up with, who is that? Oh, hey, it's Billy Bob Joe Thornton. Like, I know he'd be like, yeah, that's Billy. He's a guy. I would like just rattling in my ear and out my mouth, hoping to God I got it right. And interesting story is he started announcing, right? He's done No Prep Kings and all kinds of other stuff, and he does Blue Thunder. He does a radio show of his own, but he got to start announcing. Sorry about the can.
No, you're fine.
He got to knock the whole radio show over. Sorry, folks, show's closed. And he got his start announcing because I was invited or asked to do a thing called Dig Night down in Texas for a guy named Jared Thompson, and my schedule wasn't permitted. I said, I can't make it. I'm sorry, but thank you. He goes, well, Doug, can you do it? And Doug announced, and poof, career. So Doug's in my inside joke all the time is, you know, if I showed up, you wouldn't have a career, son. So it's you know, kind of a running joke, but it's fun because we all know each other from around the country and whatnot. But like you were saying, it's easy once you know how to announce. It's easy to announce if you have like a screen in front of you. It's tough. Like I did a No Hating, you know, the No Hating drag race bike, Welch's series. I did it.
Gretches?
No. Brian Welch, Brian and Nikki Welch. But it's a motorcycle.
Wait.
Huh?
What?
I lost him.
You lost me?
Yeah, I don't have anybody.
Uh-oh. That's what you get for.
Hold on, we'll pause it.
Went in too
All right,
far
we're back.
for whatever
Oh,
reason.
apparently Lonnie put it in too deep.
You gotta keep it straight because you're cutting in and out because
right.
you're talking to the side. Yeah, I know.
All
Kind
right.
of. So, and then FYI, if Trent sounds kind of shitty, is because we're all sitting on stools and Trent. I didn't get another stool for Trent, so he looks like a 12-year-old.
That could
do.
be your
It's-
picture.
Yeah, that's what I did. I already took a wide angle picture. Just Trent is looking up at all of us.
Which is funny because I'm like a foot taller than Lonnie.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I'm
I'm
looking at him
usually the
like,
shortest in the group for sure.
I didn't get a mic stand, and so no, we're not even going to do the video one on this one because it just we're all looking.
nah,
like
that's
this.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm on this. I got a backrest though.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I got a backrest. I'm good. I'm the fat guy. So I'm
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Keep leaning back on it. We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
You're supposed to be the announcer.
Yes, I'll grab them. I'll go. I told you.
You
Just Brian
don't
said
grab anything. Just talk.
That's what I was getting at was when you get versed at announcing, you can announce while you're looking at like a screen. That's why they have announcer screens. You know, like all right, coming up in the left lane. Really, you just do your reading,
Right.
and the hardest part when you're announcing is being able to process information and just bypass the whole brain mouth filter thing
Yeah.
and hope to God it comes out right instead of blah 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 blah. You know, and some people just you trip over your tongue, but it's good there. But some tracks, I was telling you this thing with No Hating. I did it at Indy, and I don't know if you've ever been to the tower at Indy.
Yeah.
But I literally had to put things. It's so
Far. It's far off to the corner.
dude. The state. I need binoculars to see the starting line. It's so far away.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the.
not that
I'm looking at
far
the water
away,
box. Huh?
Not that far.
When you're trying to call races, it might as well be because you can't see the numbers. I'm looking at the guys in the water box. I'm like, these don't match the screen. What the hell's going on? I like put like binders up on the window, so I was like looking. I'm like leaning back in the chair to get a good line of sight on this thing. I'm holding the microphone. I'm like, don't breathe. Nobody come in here. I got this figured out. So, you know, and I'm spoiled because I do most of my work at the Grove, and it's like you look down, you're like, the cars are right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. It is
Like,
like
you know,
right there.
Yeah, and the only other tower I've been in that's like that is Palm Beach. Palm Beach is the same type of setup where it's in the middle, but it's like twice the size. There's like 2 rooms on one side. It's all bricks, and it doesn't shake around like the Grove. If you walk into one side of the tower,
Yeah,
it kind of
right.
sways like a
Well, you
flagpole.
did a small thing at 66 too, didn't you?
Yeah. I've done some stuff at 66. We actually did a radio show from there. In the media room, we're the only people in it. And that room is like the size of your shop. It's for a room, it's massive.
yeah.
It's got like tiered floors. And then the next time I was there, because I don't go to 66, it's not my thing, right? The next time I was there, we did the exhibition last year, which was the KOTS. And that was interesting because that got thrown together in about 10 days.
Yeah.
That's a whole story into itself. But, you know, I looked at a media center next door, and there's like literally 80 people in this thing. I mean, they're everywhere. There's just boxes and laptops and cords and, you know, all these military spec cases, and race control looks like a freaking military, like a dungeon. You know, it's like, it's crazy. It's dead quiet. And the announcer's booth is all glass.
Yeah.
So when you're in the booth, it's loud. But when you're outside the booth, you can't hear nothing. And even like, imagine being behind the fuel cars and all you hear is, I mean, it's like a hum.
Yeah.
There's so much soundproofing, and these things are literally, you know, 80 feet in front of you. But that's where I learned that the tower needs to be very calm. Because Graham Light, who was a division, he was a head big guy at NHRA, but he would sit there with these, you know, big plastic cases with like the emergency shutdown button just in case something went wrong, and no one was allowed to speak. It had to be like a morgue. It was so quiet. It was bizarre.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was a learning experience for sure.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's our show, so we'll have a good time.
Hi, thanks.
Yeah, I guess to get back and whatever from my questions, I would say is it for people that don't know, RSDU is it so in not that this is going to go bigger than Chicago, but
Sure.
RSD is Real Street Drags. That was
Yes.
held at Union Grove in
Correct.
Wisconsin, and then Streetcar Cast was in US 41 at
Correct.
Morocco, Indiana.
Correct.
And RSD obviously was started first.
Yep. And basically what it was is, you know, as much as we don't like to get tough enough credit, that was nice. That was nice. He's quick on the button, folks. You know, to his credit though, he approached Ray Drew, who was the Trek manager and co-owner at the time, and hold on, we have a drag race going on right now. He approached him about, you know, doing street racing at the racetrack because our area in Schaumburg had gotten so hot, like we couldn't go out and do nothing.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Was there anything even like that
What do you
back then on the track, at the track?
No, nothing. I mean, you heard about like the NHRA had like a street legal drags thing going on, but it was like, you know, NHRA street legal drags as long as you pass tech.
Yeah, right.
You know, like good luck with that. And so it was basically, you know, we had no tree, we had lucky we had a freaking bathroom. You know, they didn't turn anything on, no concessions. It was very much like, you know, what people do to like cash day shit, just at a racetrack.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't organized. It was literally, there's the track, have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and we were responsible for everything.
I remember one of the streetcar chaoses years ago at 41. It had rained. The track is like, we're closing. It rained it out, and there was some locked in races or whatever. And they're like, dude, can we stay? And they're like, we don't care, but everything's staying off. So the tree was gone, and when it got dark, it got dark.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't
yeah.
realize how dark it is
It's
at
a
a track
dungeon
when
out
there's
there.
no light. And everybody there was driving up and down the track.
Drying the track, yeah.
Crews
Yeah.
were like, I don't work here, so don't ask me for a mop, nothing.
Yeah.
Feel safe, send it. And we dried it, and we got a few races off, and it was.
Shit.
But that was as real. That felt like street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no, it was
It was turned off.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to 41's credit, you know, that track has always been grittier.
Yeah.
Like it's always, but I mean, you know, and
Like you don't need a windshield to pass tech over there. You're good.
you don't even need to pop the hood, dude. You just
back in the
we
day,
got
no.
numbers.
Oh, you got those certified undies on? You're good.
Yeah, back in, it's
You
like,
got 2 springs on the carburetor? Yeah.
well,
we're
my
good.
personal favorite. Didn't you show without a seat at one point,
Well, no, I had
like a milk crate or some shit?
No, but I had my bottles were strapped to my passenger seat.
Yeah.
Factory
With a
short
ratchet
back
strap.
To his
With
to his
all- yeah,
credit,
with-
it was a heavy duty plastic on the crate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a good strap,
was
you know.
enough.
And then Tuff was giving me shit about my seatbelt. It was my GTO, you know. Car runs in the 8s.
It's a
and
lap belt.
lap belt. And,
Yeah, with no
he goes,
cage,
well,
no
that's
bar,
not
no
SFI
nothing.
approved. And I said, well, it says GM on the buckle. I said, they've done all kinds of like testing and stuff, you know. I mean, they wouldn't put it in the car if it wasn't safe.
Yeah, right.
Just a little lap belt, and I gave it an extra snug, and then he put an extra click on my bottles, ratcheted in the passenger seat, and I sent that motherfucker, dude. That thing was.
And that's when
Fine.
that's when it was basically one wheel 10 foot in the air and the other
yeah.
one,
Yeah,
other
left
front wheel
would
still on
be-
the ground.
You know,
it
and
was-
Well, when you when you wheelied, who'd you race against? Tom, was it Olson? When you wheelied and the brake pedal, the rod came out.
when
hit
I
the
lost
floor?
the brakes. Well, the brakes were.
Iffy.
Iffy. And I went through the sand racing Tom. And ended up down in the weeds. And I was like, that kind of sucked, you know. But I was racing Bobby DeAndre. When I actually lost the brake rod.
Yes, okay.
And went through. And mushy brakes kind of give you a sense, like, I still have brakes. I just need to figure this thing out. When you lose the brake rod, I mean, you hear the brake pedal slam the floorboard, and you're like,
Dunk.
holy cow, and you got nothing. Well, thank God.
You got a lap belt, though.
Well, I do.
He just pulled it tighter.
Tight, you know?
All right, you're right.
But
At that point, you have Jesus.
yeah, well, the
where's
only
tough
thing-
to click it one more click?
the only thing that made me not wreck was I had blown my transmission, reverse manual valve body, and you couldn't downshift those. I had borrowed Garfield's. Regular turbo 400, forward shifts, so, man, I just hit second gear, and then I just threw it into first before I left the pavement, and the motor, like, spiked, and the thing was chattering the tires, and once I hit the sand, I was just trying to spin it around, and I
I didn't even know there was sand back there.
I jumped over the sand.
Talking about
There's-
41?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No, this is
Yeah,
GLD.
or not
Oh.
sand, whatever's right at the end. It
Well,
doesn't go
it's
straight to
if
grass.
it's
It's
at
a
the
mix.
Grove, it's pea gravel.
Yeah,
but
it's
it's pea
something.
gravel
Oh.
that basically looks like concrete because
Yeah,
it's not
and
tilled very often.
There was like this girl or something, and she's at like the last turnaround saying,
Pointing.
"You got to turn here, or else you'll
I'm
have to
going
turn
this
around."
way.
Man, bye, bitch.
And when I went past her, she had the look of death in her eyes, and
Yeah.
I jumped the sand and hit the weeds, and
I'm good. I got my lap belt. I'm good.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was like out of a movie. I came.
Tough click me in tight. So I'm good.
I got to a point where I couldn't get it stopped. I put it in reverse and just kept hitting the throttle, and I literally like came up to the fence like 6 inches away and then backed up and hopped on the dash, put my brake rod back in, and I was like, "Holy shit!" dude. And then my
Nothing
dad,
to see here. What happened?
Yeah,
I just
I got back, and my dad, you know, he used to drink back then. And he's a little boss. He's like, "You got to put this thing away. You're gonna kill somebody." I'm like, "Dad, I'm fucking everybody up." He's like, "Put it back in the trailer."
Yeah, but Dad, I won.
I'm like, dude,
But I won.
man, I was busting everybody up. Like,
Yeah.
man, it was a good night of racing.
Dude, Lonnie, that car scared the fuck out of me.
It
when I
scared
saw
me.
Like
I-
because keep in
I
mind,
mean-
I was, you know, one of the advantages of my like position is that I was always privy to like time slips,
Yeah.
you know, for years. And I mean, guys would be like, you know, I want to make some time runs, and I'd be like, I got you, and I'd go tell the girl in the EG shack, hey, go take a break. I'm gonna take care of this, you know, so nobody, you know, God forbid
Yeah.
we see time slips. Now I just laugh at him, like, really, we
Yeah.
made that big a deal of it.
Yeah.
And fucking Lonnie made a hit, and it's like a 919.
Well, that was the first day. Yeah, I went 919 and,
And
920.
he rolls up, and I give him the time slip. I'm like, dude, are you out of your mind? He goes, what? It's fine. It drives straight. I'm like, you are nuts.
It used to pop the trunk open too.
Yes,
You'd latch
yes.
it shut, and when it'd leave, it would twist so
I don't even
bad.
have any. Do you have any video? You can.
I
I guess it's
have
not gonna
that
matter because
one.
it's audio. Yeah.
The one,
so.
that's the one at
That's the one
41.
that I share. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
at 41.
yeah.
But that was with a smaller motor. You
Yeah.
know, it's not as.
It was still cool.
Not like
cool
it's
video.
cool
though.
video to
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
but not
Not what
was
it
in
did
the
at
tape. No,
GLD when we were there. I was like,
it was flying. That was the first night with the
Well, he scraped
one
the
of
quarter
good
pedal
motors.
around.
Yeah. Well, we were gonna run motor, and we were stuck in staging lanes. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, we keep going forward and forward and forward, and they're about to take the tree down or whatever you guys
Right.
do. You guys turn it off. And I thought, fucking, I'm gonna spray it. I mean, I literally just put the motor together. You know, I'm like, so I'm in the staging lane to take some timing out. I'm like, fuck it, you know,
Fucking
banging
tighten
it
up the
to the
strap.
motor.
Yep.
You know, there's no progressive controllers and shit back then.
Back in
We're
the
just
good old
banging
days.
that son of a
Yep.
bitch to the motor, and man, we rolled it up there, and yeah, 919 right off the get go. Never even made a.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember giving you a polite what for. I'm like, Lonnie,
Yeah.
And this is
I
a.
need you to listen to me real carefully.
Yeah.
It was to describe it. It was the '67. Well, you still have it. The
60 yeah, I still
'67
have it.
GTO, no cage, no
Yeah.
nothing.
No, nothing.
Big black
Frame
yeah,
about
yeah.
half rotted out.
Yeah, it
The-
was.
the-
Yeah, it
Like,
showed
I don't
the
think
tape.
it had a right rear spring in the
Yeah.
car, the way the thing wound
Yeah.
up. It
No,
just-
something would typically always fly off, whether it's
Yeah.
a piece of chrome or an emblem, like something that was just kind of.
He was the donk master before the donk master.
Yeah, I mean, the car
wow.
was cool.
Wow.
It wasn't bad.
Oh, God.
It didn't hit people. It
Dude.
just fly off.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That
It
was
was
terrible. That
no,
was
it was
terrible.
a cool car. It was fun.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love those cars. I
Yeah.
love them.
Mhm.
Do you still have it?
I still have
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yep.
But you're bringing the Chevelle out now.
No, next car. If I typically drive other people's cars,
Yeah.
anybody that knows me, but
Hired gun.
it's probably going to be the GOAT.
Yeah.
Chevelle's race cars in my mind. It's,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like old school iron. I like street car stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I like to see dashboards and seats and
That's a convenient subject given the developments in the last 24 hours.
yeah. And plus, I mean, I like busting up full blown fucking race cars.
Yeah, right.
You
You
know,
gonna put an LS in it?
negative.
Oh, my God. The door is over there.
I don't have
Why?
a boat and I don't need an anchor.
Why? What did he do?
No, he hates
I
LS.
hate
Oh.
LS motors.
Anybody talk about an LS and an old?
Oh, I
Jeep,
think you said Nellis.
No,
Oh.
LS.
I'm like, what is that? What did that
If I
kid
had
do?
a boat and needed an anchor, I would probably get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but not everything. I was thinking yesterday, I'm like, what if we banned LSs and banned Mustangs? Who would still street race?
Nobody.
There would be nothing.
Yeah.
Besides,
You have Boulder's car.
Yeah. Wait, no,
Oh, that's
see,
a Mustang.
Oh,
That's
Mustang.
yeah.
You know,
like
there's-
literally, who would we have?
There's one that comes to mind. It's not local, but
No, I mean, well, just locally, because it seems like everyone's got
local.
Camaros and fucking
Yeah.
Mustangs.
But I mean,
That's-
an LS.
Swanko,
Yeah, he's old school.
yeah,
Old school small block.
it's literally he's the only one.
Yeah. There's.
Oh.
I mean,
So basically,
and I
you
get
would
it,
you would just kill street racing.
Yeah, basically out
so
here.
basically he would be the new Pro Stock John.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
Pro Stock John killed street racing
Yeah.
like 20 years ago. He took the blame for it. Everybody blamed him.
Yeah.
Pro Stock John ruined street racing.
Why did he not get a?
Because he was behind like he ushered in a lot of the message boards, the MFBA
Oh,
and the
yeah.
LS1 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He
So
was
the
always
running-
in those battles with the fastest
Yeah.
NA
Right.
car. Or
That was
whatever.
red that had leather seats. And,
Right. Well, and there was the running joke is that I think it was Minty or Hyder, one of the two of them, said who killed street racing? Everybody said, "Wow, it's Pro Stock John's fault." Just got blamed by extension, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Pro Stock John owned LS1 Tech, or one of, and sold them, and
Mm-hmm.
now he's trying to build a banana Camaro, and
Yeah, he's making progress
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
it's an older one, so that's cool.
No, it's a good car. He's making progress on it, and I don't think there's a bullet hole in that car yet for
Yeah,
a
right.
garage car in Chicago. That's pretty good
Yeah.
nowadays.
Well, he
Yeah.
lives in
No
he
randoms.
lives in Logan Square, so he's
yeah.
balling.
It's better.
Yeah,
It's definitely better.
Yeah, a little bit maybe.
yeah. I mean, at least for the Street Outlaw guys, they all have different cars.
Well,
Everything is different. That's one
Right.
thing they had going for them. Like
Yeah.
everyone in Chicago has a Mustang or a Camaro,
Yeah.
and or
Yeah.
maybe a
Fortunately.
fourth gen. Yeah,
They didn't go with what works. As much as I hate to, bring everybody tough enough, I like a ninja. Back in the day, he was racing the same car, the Chevy
Yeah.
2, and when I had a small block.
Yeah, I raced him. I
Wait, like
was
970s,
just talking to
huh?
Nick beforehand. I was watching the news, saw Tough Enough crying about he ain't paying fucking
Oh, in
whoever.
the Fox News thing.
So I'm like, man, I said, man, we got to go to Schaumburg. So we racked up a couple cars and went up to Schaumburg, and we didn't even know where to go. We were just stopping everywhere. Gas stations. We're like, where's the movie star? Fuck. We finally honed in on a parking lot, and we got action. And I raced him a few times. So,
his shorts are available at Target now if you want to get them.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
But the last time I raced him, my front end blew off, and he didn't leave. He didn't pay or whatever.
Was that on
He didn't
83?
pay?
It was right on 83. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember doing.
And
this
then I
in
said,
83.
man, what? Because I didn't steal a hit or nothing. I seen the light come on, And I said, what's that? Oh, I seen him dry hops and shit. I wasn't gonna win. I'm like, so
You don't pick
you
it. You weren't
knew
gonna win.
like you weren't gonna leave. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, dude? And that's back when dry hops were in. You were
Yeah, right.
a lot of burnouts, a lot of dry hops.
It's so funny too because you see like the old school bracket races. Rah! People in the water box are like,
Oh,
"What's
yeah.
this guy
that was
doing?"
the way.
and
to
and no one
intimidate.
no one needed any help.
No.
But now you got 50 people that need
Well,
help
yeah,
with the
you know,
line.
Well,
they
that's
got
why I
to
like
vibrate.
that one. What do they call the Line Lock 2000?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the guy holding it?
with the dude.
That's
yeah.
that's one of our guys.
Yeah.
One of our local guys. I forget who it was. Just standing at the front of the car like this.
Which, I mean,
Well,
I don't.
Then you
Some
get guys
cars
with all
have
the
a-
thumbs up shit.
Yeah.
The guy standing next to
Oh,
the car, he's
yeah.
like, he has to have his hand on his shoulder in the car, and he's like, he's ready.
Tim
It's like,
Blanchard.
yeah.
Tim Blanchard.
Wow, Big Tim getting hit.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
like with the thumbs up, like you're ready or you're not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well, no, they
and-
do. I was telling them to do that because I can't see some of their faces, so I'd rather just look at a thumb.
Well, and we used to do that back in the day when either one, they didn't have a trans brake because not everybody ran them yet.
Yeah.
Two, you couldn't hear the turbos because they weren't stutter boxing.
Yeah,
and,
they weren't banging.
They weren't banging like they are.
No.
And also people forgot where
Stutter
they're
box. That's the new. That's the new one.
right.
Did
They-
you get your car on the stutter box?
Right. That's like the old bracket racer. It's like all the poor bearings just fall out of it. But the other thing is, people used to actually do this thing called turn their lights on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
they're
well, that
ready.
was
Like,
And
that
now
was
there's
a
so many-
universal sign.
that
But a
was
lot of
like you said,
but you didn't have
universal.
automatic. You didn't have daylight running lights and all that shit, so that makes it hard.
Yeah,
to
the
tell.
old trick with the F bodies was if you
Click
when
the
you
e-brake.
if you turn the car on with the e-brake, clicked one
Really?
click,
I never knew that.
the
They
lights
would turn the
wouldn't come out.
DRLs off. Yeah.
Oh, shit, I just pulled the fuse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Or you
Yeah,
could-
that was universal too. I mean, that was
Yeah.
Lights
both
come
cars
on,
Well,
were
like even
ready,
like my
you know?
car, I mean, I still have. I
Lights,
have to have
yeah.
headlights
There
and
was
taillights.
no steps really back then.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
You just
when-
turn it
even
on when they point to you. Turn
When
it
you
on
were
when you're
giving
ready.
somebody to hit, you didn't even emphasize like don't burn me down. You were just
Yeah.
like when my lights are on, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, and you sometimes you'd be sitting there like,
Yep.
come on, man.
But
come on,
think-
come
but
on,
think-
come on,
think
come on,
about-
like, wait, yeah,
Well,
you know,
but
like,
if you really think about it too, there weren't back in the day. There weren't as many turbo cars either.
right, and they're the ones that.
And
are
nitrous got like if you're sitting on the brake,
transmissions.
you're sitting on the brake,
Well,
or,
and
or,
let's be
or,
honest,
or
Not as
foot
bad.
braking it.
Back
To-
then we
to-
were mostly
Mostly foot braking.
Well, and back then was turbo is you're gonna have the brake. All right, cool. Hold on.
Well, that's because they put like,
Like
a
I'm gonna go get a
180
drink.
118 millimeter on a 302-inch motor.
Right, or the Buicks, you know.
Yeah,
I used to love watching the Buicks. Like reaction time, 8.6.
Yeah.
AT,
But- and the
8.3.
problem with the Buicks, the slow ones looked exactly the same and
Yeah.
sounded
Yeah.
exactly
Yep.
the same as the fast ones. So
Yeah, it was terrible.
unfortunately for the slower guys, they really couldn't get any action
Yeah.
because it was like
No one
all
even
that.
knew too
giving
much
you the
either.
hit.
That's
I'm
the
not
Didn't
thing.
they
gonna
have
do
like
this or
odd fire cranks? And
Yeah, well, I
some
just
weird-
remember
I don't know
years
shit
ago
about
it was like if the turbo must be bigger if you can't fit the stock cover, like the stock.
Oh yeah,
heat
that
shield.
little
like,
heat
that
shield.
shit.
that
yeah,
goes
yeah.
on it, yeah.
If they don't have the heat shield on it, you don't
Yeah.
want to race that one or something. You know,
Right.
we were,
Or if you look down, you're like, oh, is that a straight air-to-air intercooler on there? Because
Yeah.
where they were air-to-air factory anyway, but there was this little black brick.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if it was like an aluminum intercooler, it's like, oh, stay away. That's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, it was like rocket science. You didn't know.
You didn't know.
The guy up by us was a guy named Dr. Boost, and he was like
That was
Yeah,
I forget his name.
I don't know.
Um,
his real name.
I remember
the
hearing-
doctor. Why am I blanking out? The anesthesiologist.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
well, he was a dentist.
What's his name?
He was a dentist.
Oh, he's a dentist. I thought he was.
I was told he was a dentist.
No, he told me he was an anesthesiologist.
Well, he might.
Well,
He
he's
might
both.
not be.
Maybe he's both. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe he's a
he-
banker.
Maybe he wasn't even a doctor. Yeah, because he used to hang out with
Why am I
Tom.
blanking out on his name? What the
I don't
hell?
know,
It's
'cause they're high
not
off-
Perrin.
Flew
It's
out
not
of the trunk
Perrin.
of his fucking box Chevy.
What the fuck's his name? It's
don't
not
know.
Perrin. It's
Well, he used to hang out with Tom Izzo before Tom
Yeah.
started Speed Inc. Because Tom had a Buick out there too, and you look down, and you're like, it looks pretty innocent. So you see that giant ratchet strap around the alternator. What's that there for? Because they had to tie the motors down.
Oh,
They didn't-
shit.
Yeah, that was like an old trick. Before they started like cutting chains, they just get a big ratchet, and just try to keep the motor from twisting over too much. I mean, I personally, I'm like, I don't really think it is that big a deal if the motor moves
Yeah.
around. It's not gonna rip the
No,
mounts out of the
especially
car.
well with a trans brake. See, if you're foot braking it, you can have rubber motor mounts because your motor's
Yeah.
torqued.
Right.
Right.
When you're trans braking it, your motor's like sitting
Yeah.
there limp. Like it's
Right.
hard up, but it doesn't have.
It's hard up in the trans.
Yeah.
It doesn't have torque. So then you slam those and end up ripping them out.
Right.
And
Some motor flips over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it only goes so far. I mean,
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
things will stop it.
Yeah, like the
I mean?
strut
the hood.
tower.
Well, there's fans and shrouds and
Yeah.
the hood.
The street.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can still go.
Yeah.
you know?
I've seen it where it's ripped out a chunk of the block where the motor mount is on
Holy
like solid
fuck.
mounts, not a
Yeah.
motor plate.
Yeah, if you're making too much power,
Too
and you
much
don't,
power, you-
don't put a mid plate or front plate. Yeah,
Jesus.
Just rips a chunk.
Yeah,
just
Yeah, I
out.
guess that makes sense. That's why.
because it's
you
just
do
like
that.
a Chevy, just them
Yeah,
3 bolts.
3 bolts
You
is
know
it.
what I mean? And just rips that pocket of block out. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
But hey, what happened? You're like, oh, it's a streetcar. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the new one these days.
I mean,
Everything's a streetcar.
the only fast one out here was Philly.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
He's another one that you should have around the table at some point. Just
Yeah, he was at that's Kurt Sublime 69. He's a buddy that we've hung around with for. He had like an old reunion
Yeah,
of
'cause
car
he was
people, and he,
at your
yeah, he came to the
Yeah.
race too. That was the week after he came that
Yeah.
too. So yeah, it was just kind of funny. So,
Yeah, it was
but
cool
he
to
said he
see him.
still got it, and the motor's out of it, and it's been out of it.
Yeah.
But he still got it.
He's had that car a long time.
Yeah, dude, that's like 20 plus years. That's crazy.
Isn't he racing motorcycles?
Well, he's always done the.
Well, yeah, I know he's been
Dirt
in-
bikes or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, like the trail version or whatever. But same thing. Kurt still got that Sublime 69
Yeah.
Dart or whatever
Yep.
that thing
Yeah.
is. So, and then Pickle, you don't.
Oh, the Cobra.
No, Pickle's got a neon SRT turbo with like 2,000 miles on it that he bought brand new.
I'm sorry, you
What?
lost me at the
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but that thing's gonna be
everybody
worth
needs a beater
something.
with a heater to get to work. I mean,
Yeah, well, the 2,000 original miles on it. It's like a 06 or something. So
It's worth like $8,000 to one person.
Yeah, hey.
It's a beater with
I
a
will pay
heater.
anything for it.
wow, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to follow a cool page on Facebook, it's called Undepreciable or something gems off the what the hell is it called? It's all just oddball.
Unappreciated.
Is it?
Gems
I don't know what the word is. Hold on.
Look for the picture of the Fiero. That'll pretty much give
Yeah.
you the dead giveaway.
Unappreciated survivors. It's a group page, and
Interesting.
it's actually just got some hilarious random stock cars,
I
like
bet.
celebrities and Luminas, and
It's like, I have a barn find, you go.
it'd be like finding a brown '89 Astro van, like Nick had. We go to the gym and the whole thing was ready to fall apart and
remember
frame and everything.
Welding his block.
Yeah,
It was
that's right.
cracked. He's like, "Man,
we welded it, and then after that you stick welded it.
Stick welded it while we were down there with the torch, preheating.
I was
to
to say, it's
cast
like
iron.
cast. How do
You know
you
what I
pull
mean?
that off?
So
Stick weld it kind of did something,
we
and
had
then
it down
and
to
then
a
we had
grip.
like 4 things of JB Weld, and it
Yeah.
lasted like a year and a half.
Yeah.
after.
What was no? They're called Aerostars, right?
I don't
His was a
remember.
Ford Aerostar.
Aerostar, yeah.
Oh,
So it wasn't
God,
like
that thing.
like a full van was pretty creepy, but then if you rolled around in a rotted out Aerostar, that brown,
I
that
don't
was
know
really
how long
creepy.
you had it for a long time.
Yeah.
It was filled with newspaper.
Yeah.
To the rim. And I go, Nick, why is your van filled with newspaper? Do you like read the morning paper every? No, it was like that when I bought it. Dude, he drove this thing for years,
Yeah.
dude. And it was like hoarder style.
It was brutal.
Filled.
We'd go to the gym. I'm like, I don't even want to drive in this thing.
I just thought he read the paper every day, like tossing it down. It was like that when I bought it. I'm like, oh, okay.
What's going on in the background? Did you sell that thing or give it away?
Yeah. I don't even remember.
That thing was
so long
brutal.
ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, to get back on track, I guess.
That's okay. No, let's
Yeah.
talk more about shitty brown
Yeah,
Aerostars.
right.
That sounds pretty
Hey.
racy to me.
Let's
we
talk
got
about
stories.
Trent's breakup with his boyfriend
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
God.
or friends.
So, all right. So, streetcar chaos happened, and
Okay.
then all that stuff.
So we're doing like
Kinda.
a montage of
Yeah, I
Mike's
guess.
racing
I
life
mean,
here. You know what's funny is, and I can't discuss too much of it, but I actually just literally made my wife calls a curriculum vitae, which is like a legal term for like an outline of your accomplishments.
yeah.
Somebody asked me for that. I'm like, why? He goes, well, I want to. No. This is, he's like, I want to give it to somebody. Okay. I mean, we'll see what happens. But anyway, so I actually just went and had to go over all this stuff. I'm like, what have I done? Like, 99, 2000, 2001. And, pretty much from 2001 to like 2005, it was RSD and Streetcar Chaos. And then I was working for the Grove running their major events from the staging lanes because they approached me once like, hey, how do you feel about running the staging lanes, at the holiday weekends? I'm like, well, why? Well, we see you deal with all these street racers and you seem to have a okay time with them. And, they're like herding cats. Like they're very difficult. So they wanted me to run, the staging lanes because they were having problems. I said, that's fine. I said, give me a schedule. Tell me what your anchors are, your methane, your nitro, your jet, stuff you can't fix, people you're paying to be there. Everything else I can throw in a fucking, throw it up in a pile. And I did that for a while. It went out, really well. And then I took off a year off in 2006 when my first son was born because, kids do that. And
Life happens.
yeah, exactly. And I just, and I just bought my first truck and was starting a new venture with that and came back in 2007 and, just kind of kept down with RSD and chaos. I would go when I could. It was, I won't say it was starting to fall apart, but it had, chaos peaked really early from what I remember. Really?
That was the seat.
Oh, I was to say, I was like, wow, guys. At least you can't smell the stripper anymore. That actually sounded really, really bad. All right, that's an editable one right there. But chaos peaked out. I mean, it was so popular in the early 2000s. It was just crazy, So it was riding out, but I couldn't go down there as often as I used to.
Yeah.
When I first started, I'll back up a little bit. I used to have to do these Ironman weekends. I was managing a tire shop in Carpentersville off 25, right? So I'm way up there. I would work all day, and then I go up to the Grove and do RSD on Thursday, and then I go back to work on Friday, and then I go down to camp.
Yeah, not to
41.
interrupt you, but fucking RSD was on a Thursday.
Well, it started on a Thursday because
Yeah.
that was
Well, they
that
couldn't
was
get
They
couldn't
yeah,
get
they
the
couldn't
track
run
on
the
the
track
weekends.
because
They already
yeah.
had prior obligations.
right.
You're like, what
Well-
the fuck, man?
well, and the reason
But
why,
after all those years, they couldn't.
yeah.
And it
No,
was-
I'm going to tell you why. Because the Grove is open 6 days a week, has been for decades. And the day off rotates every few years. Right now it's Monday. But back then it was Thursday. So they said, yeah, you can do it, but it's got to be on Thursday. It's the day off. So that's how it was on Thursday. Eventually we got it on Friday. Excuse me. But I was working Thursday, going to RSD Thursday night, working Saturday, going out to Chaos on Friday night. And then I go to work half a day Saturday. So by the time Sunday came around, I was like in a cave, and in the early days, I used to announce on the grass all the time, as you guys may remember. So I was like interacting with the crowd and, just more like an MC than a racetrack announcer. So like my wife wouldn't talk to me because everything she said, I had a witty comeback. Like everything. I was just like a freaking laser beam on my mouth. She'd be like, I was like, pew! She's like, would you stop it? I'm like, absolutely not. You know, I was like completely wired for like 2 days. And then once I was done, I come home and be like, I'm going to bed. And I would be done for like a day. Yeah. So now it was good.
Yeah, because wouldn't they be on the same weekend?
Sometimes, that they would back to back. So, and I didn't want to have to make a choice because I like doing both of them. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'll do them both, but I'll be a little late. Yeah. And we did. But see, Chaos didn't matter because Chaos ran till like 3 in the morning, which was great when you got to be at work at 7.
Yeah.
A couple of times I went straight to work and went in the store and went in the back and slept on a table for like 2 hours and then opened the store.
Because
many nights. Dude, we used to keep you because you were a bricklayer.
Yeah.
So 4 in the morning was his
Leave
typical.
At 4 in the morning. Yeah. It's just like, whoa.
Dude, so we could go home, catch 3 hours of sleep. He can't.
Yeah.
Like, he leaves at 4 a.m. Holy shit. So, yeah. And then the next night we do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was brutal.
It was, sometimes it was bad.
Well, and then, obviously Denny started managing the racetrack like late 2000s.
So Danny was just some random dude that had an idea.
Yeah.
Or not an idea, but
pretty. And I don't think he like copied what we were doing or anything like that, but he, same kind of concept. And I remember very, very well at the first Chaos going back 2001, Papa Norm obviously ran the racetrack, owned it. And it was funny because, they made a boatload of money on the first one because Norm rented the track for like, I don't know, $1,500 or something like that. And I remember talking to Norm in the tower. And I'm like, so what do you think of this whole thing? Because I didn't really know Norm real well. I met him a couple times at like rentals down there. He's like, I think I'm going to have to renegotiate if we do this again. He's like, hey, he doesn't matter his word. He paid them out. He gave them what they wanted. But, obviously with that kind of crowd, it demands a higher rental. Yeah. So, but eventually, he got more involved with the racetrack and then he started managing it and kind of promoting it. And then after Norm died, he like leased it from Derek or something like that, if I remember correctly, and then just went completely potato. And I don't know. We did a couple of events together down in Florida. That's how I know about Palm Beach. Yeah. Ultimate Shootout and Streetcar Chaos down there, which actually, you guys will get a kick out of this. So I'm trying to put together Streetcar Chaos, right? And I own my Chicago thing and spots and all this other stuff. And these people are like, what planet are you from? What do you mean spots? Why would I race a guy that I need spots from? I'm almost like, oh, this is not working.
Yeah.
No.
They were all looking at me like my hair was on fire.
It's like 99% of the internet.
Yeah.
If you book a race event up.
Yeah, exactly.
Book this spot, you pussy, you got something fast. And I'm like, come on, dude.
They were like,
always what a fast guy says.
They're like, what kind of moron are you? And then I watching the cars run. They're like 1150s. I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm like, you guys don't get it yet. And that's been the hardest part. I'm sure you guys have seen this. Being from this area, like, dude, we're fast. Like, this area is fast. Yeah. To us, like, back in the day, a fast street car was like a 950 car. That was like, wow, that's a damn fast street car. Meanwhile, these guys are like, my car goes 1180s. Woo! He's like, shit.
Well, I remember, this is probably late 90s, mid to late 90s. I Rock Andy, man, we drove his shit to 41 and like busted off some high 9-second passes.
Yeah.
Back then, that was flying.
Yeah.
All lying. Like, that was when ASSC, like, oh, shit, dude, that's badass.
Had that
like,
sticker right on the window.
Dude, like, that was unbelievable. Yeah. Back then.
Like, him and Old Man Jerry.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, Old Man Jerry's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and now think about it. Like, my street car goes 950. It's like, sweet stalker, bro.
Yeah, right.
Must be broke, or something. But yeah, it was different back then. But back then, nobody trailered shit. I mean, if you trailered shit, it was serious.
Well,
or broke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you broke earlier and you're just not going home yet. Right. Like, it's still on the trailer.
Yeah, that used to be, there was only a handful of us that would trailer like our street cars.
Yeah.
When we did like MFBA rentals, I'd trailer down my SS. Dude, it's a 12-second car. Yeah. It's like, why would you trailer that car? I'm like, because I'm going to beat the shit out of it.
You can still break a 12.
Yeah, I'm
like,
that was the advantage.
It makes for a long night.
Right, and I said, I've been at the racetrack looking at those poor kids at the gate with the long face. What are you waiting for? A tow truck.
Yeah.
And guess what? I broke an axle on my Camaro, and I was and I put it on the trailer, and I didn't care. Like, it didn't affect me at all. I'm like, I broke it.
Went back and finished watching.
Right, dude, I remember at RSD when I brought the dyno up there, and right where the food stand is, there was a light pole or something concrete at one point that was there, but it got knocked over, so it wasn't there anymore. So they had a cone, and it was probably, I don't know, whatever, a fucking 1.5 foot high.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so they had the cone there, so you would see it. It said, hey, when you back up, blah blah blah, put over here, just make sure, you don't hit that when you leave. Well, someone at some point, fucking we're beat to shit and going ready to leave, and it's dark out, so someone decided to take that cone. And I think McKay was behind me or something because he rolled up, and I start to pull forward. I'm pulling forward, and I got the enclosed trailer, and it goes, boom! And I'm like, fucking fly forward. I'm like, what the fuck? The axle of the trailer, it went under the trailer, but the axle caught, the axle was low enough, just ripped the whole shackle, everything off completely on the axle.
Seriously?
Yeah, just destroyed it. So we had to stay over there overnight, and then, fucking scramble to find, we were going to buy a welder, but then someone came on Saturday that happened to have a welder with them or something, and yeah, dude, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Dude, that's rough.
Like, it just, the whole front axle just ripped, gone. Just hitting the rear axle. Well, I was like, oh, what the fuck?
You just got a ratchet strap. You'd have been just
not with that thing in the fucking trailer. That thing fucking weighed a lot. So I was.
What did you ever do with that thing? Just
sold it. Yeah, dude. That I think the max on those trailers is like 3,000. That thing weighed like 5,900 or something. No.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's like, hey, check out my dyno. Dude, I put down 400 wheel horsepower. Whoa.
Yeah,
right?
I don't trust dynos. I figured you can see change.
Yeah, for
but
tuning.
I wouldn't trust the number.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, years ago, my GTO, we put it, I don't know if you had the shop yet. I think
It was over here.
Yeah, it was here.
And it moved the whole thing.
Dude, I sprayed it, and it said it made like 570 horsepower. I'm like, I'm spraying 450. Like,
Yeah, but you gotta.
no way,
Yeah,
dude.
right.
Like,
I mean, who knows what the gear was? You got all that, and it was spinning, and,
well, I
and
know, but still, I was like, yeah, fuck that.
your car
I went-
literally made the whole dyno move when you sprayed
I
it.
went back to the street, made some tests.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm getting out of this is that a dyno hurt Lonnie's feelings, and he doesn't trust
Well,
it
no,
anymore.
no,
It's like he broke up with him.
hell no. I think I used it as an excuse. I said,
Yeah.
my car only makes 570 horsepower. Try it head up.
Yeah, I remember.
But no,
Here's the dyno sheet.
Yeah, here's to prove it. And
I
video.
think we did do that.
I mean, that's a good hustle right there. I like that.
But I mean, a car's got to get down the road. It's got to get down it fast.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be fast. You just got to be faster than the guy next to you.
Exactly.
Well, and that's
So-
that's a good transition into all of the no prep nonsense that goes on now. Obviously, which we've ever since the beginning, the whole idea is it doesn't matter how much power you have, you have to get it down the
You
track,
have to manage it.
just
It's
like
all
any
about
other street.
management.
Yeah, and management now is just bust out the laptop and hold on a second, let me just adjust.
But
the
without
box
some
and-
fancy like Davis Technologies hardware,
yeah,
yes, we have traction control systems in a sense. It's all a form of traction control.
sure.
But we're still making the decisions. Like
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
building the ramps and building.
Yeah.
So you still have to have a knowledge. Now, the guys that have tons of money,
Pay somebody
the
else to
speed
do it.
sensors,
Have a
and
box that
the
controls.
box is controlling the box
As
that's
you're
controlling
going,
the
yeah.
box.
Well, and I know
that's
now,
controlling the box.
speaking of Davis, Shannon's got a traction control. It's self-learning.
Yeah.
Like once
so-
you get it wired up, it pretty much just does
Yeah.
it for you. It's pretty
It's
awesome.
ridiculous.
It's
And-
awesome and horrifying all at the same time. It's like I love it and I hate it. I don't know why. I'm so conflicted.
I mean, it's just a different deal. I guess it is what it is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We had money, we'd all do it.
yeah.
Well,
but I mean, I
exactly.
like the old school banging fucking plate kits through the motor, like just let it eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember back in the day, we were spraying so much we knew it was going to hit hard, and there was times we would purge it early
Right. To
and
f-
never
evacuate-
touch the button again.
Right,
People would be
evacuate
like,
the
oh,
line.
it might pop. Be like, no, it won't pop, but it'll hit soft. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll come in.
What?
It'll
Yeah.
come in fast.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, so trying to time it, purge it. Well, you don't want to purge it 15 minutes before you.
No, if you get
But a
all
good,
fuel,
like,
then you
yeah,
fireball the
But a good 2-3 minutes before you race, that's a good soft hit, or lengthening the lines from the solenoids to the plate,
Yeah.
like stuff like that. Before all the
Because like you said, that back then, the beginning of the race was the race, and now
Yeah.
these fucking turbo cars, it's the
Yeah.
end of the race.
yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
and it gave it something to watch.
Yeah, exactly. It's
cars were
fun to watch at the
aggressive and
beginning. At the end,
banging
it's like,
and banging, and you had to drive them because you had
Yeah.
to wheel it through all the shittiness before it finally all right,
Settle
cool.
down. Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't have
it's-
to lift, thank God. Like,
And it's funny because I actually thought of you. There's a meme going around. It's I love it. It's a meme of Eminem, and it says when you spray 400 without a traction or without a progressive, and it just says, "Hi kids, do you like violence?"
yeah, dude.
I fucking love
like,
it. I
man,
fucking love it.
Wolf in sheep's clothing,
Right.
Yeah. There's not many things. Speaking of somebody who has, flagged races of cars like that back in the day, there's not many things that will make the hairs on your neck stand up more than like 1,200 horsepower of nitrous hitting all at the same time in
Yeah.
2 cars,
Yeah.
wheels up, going right past you.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, oh my God, that was insane.
Yeah, we were down in St. Louis last year for one of Leon's cast days.
Okay.
And my boss, Mark, had his Blazer there. And just speaking of being the flagger, well, the flagger had left, and we didn't know Mark's truck was going to go on the bumper, but it did. But for whatever reason, the guy went to turn and watch the race facing Mark's. Well, there's a perfect picture on the internet somewhere,
Yeah.
and it's Mark's wheel, and this dude he was like this, like he went to spin and went, whoa, because Mark is like,
Yeah, no,
No
it's-
shit.
yeah, so I mean, there's it takes certain people to be flaggers too.
Yeah.
Like get in where you fit in. I don't want to flag.
Yeah.
I flag buddies when whatever,
Yeah.
but I'm no flagger. Like
Now you just don't want to do it because you don't want to fucking hear it. Everyone
Yeah.
bitch. Yeah, you didn't do it this way. You
Well,
didn't do it that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
I want to ask a question. Can we talk about flagging for a minute? Okay. Now, when I was flagging races, it was, this is before Rich Christensen was like, oh, squats, whatever.
Yeah,
it
but
was
look
fun.
at JJ. I mean,
Well,
it's
JJ
horrible.
does like a dance or
Yeah.
something, doesn't he?
Let me,
He's
cut,
like,
let me cut my flannel off first, and then I'll jump in the air. And
he's like, I'm going to do a hula, and then I'm
Yeah.
tying a knot. I saw couple of his races, because I don't watch the TV shows, so I'm out of the loop on that. And I watch one of these races, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, I was like, is this for real? Are you kidding me? But, the one thing I haven't been able to understand, and it's super popular, and no guys do it all the time, and it's widely accepted, is the run back.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, that's
they'll bring them up, they'll bring them up, they'll bring them up. You're like, they're just they're
Well-
diddling their girl.
Well,
or
I
something.
think they're bringing them up just because they're standing close.
They're
to the
close.
line.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I mean, I think that's why instead of standing, well, think about it. If they stand right at the line where you bring them up, you lift
hard
your
to
see
head.
it.
I get
You
it.
have two guys.
But I think
completely
I think
turned.
in my mind, from a driver's standpoint, I think the run back is almost like a pro tree. That's the
Well,
yellow bulbs coming out
Yeah.
for the
It
green.
gets, and that's been my
That's like I'm on the converter, but
Right.
then when he runs,
Yeah.
I'm on it,
right,
and then
right. And I
I'm
know,
going, so.
like the architect of that whole thing was BJ down in New Orleans. He's got that little stick he used on the pad, which is cool. That's his hustle. I get nothing against that. I just, my thing is looking at it from both ends of it. Like one, most of the guys I see do the run back, you can pretty much predict them after a while. They're pretty consistent.
Yeah,
Most
that's
time
why I
the
tried to
light's
mix
on
it
and
up.
it's coming up.
Right. And my other thing is I'm terrified that one of them's going to, run back at the light and trip and fall.
Yeah.
And they have, and people are joking because they fell back straight. Get a couple fast cars and trip.
Yeah, one way or
kinda,
the other.
or have a car get a little shittier.
Yeah.
At the same time, you trip this way, the car goes that way, and literally lands on the flagger. Like it can happen.
And I don't know if it's because we're all getting older, we're thinking about this kind of stuff, or we've seen people get hurt in weird fucking ways.
Well, there wasn't a lot of video out back then, so we didn't get to see all that stuff.
Yeah,
Now
but,
you can see these fucking.
and the cars are so much faster.
Yeah.
They're
crazy
so much
fast
faster.
now.
Now it's like, I'm going to go street racing with my 450 car. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
serious right now?
Yeah,
It's just, I love it, but it's so fast.
it's
now.
it's
It is.
it's scary. I mean, it's totally scary. I mean, your last race,
Yeah.
you couldn't pay me to run that car out the back door.
Yeah. Right.
That finals when I raced Lieutenant Dan, I was like, dude, I mean, at like 500 feet, I'm like, come on, like, dude, I just wanted to cross. I wanted to.
I mean, to
lift
be
so
honest
bad.
with you, I thought about even shortening it up even more. I mean, just because it's 8th mile, because it's.
But see
you know,
that race
300
right there,
feet.
I mean, I was coming and I lost, But a couple
Well, I'm
feet or
saying
whatever,
ended
but-
at 500, and who gives a shit? So,
Well,
or
yeah,
what
'cause that
what does the track slip show?
660.
660.
Well,
Well,
what's before that?
Yeah,
the
the
550.
330.
330.
Oh, is
No,
it?
no.
Okay.
And some tracks do the 600 or no,
Yeah.
No,
maybe
it's-
they do the
No,
1,000
generally
before
speaking, it's going to be 60, 330, 660,
Yeah.
sometimes 1,000,
Intervals
and then
of halves.
1320.
So there's really no way for someone to get
No,
an
and
accurate
plus
500 foot.
I mean, all the turbo cars are gonna fucking
Yeah,
cry.
cry,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Well, and then it's going to be like, well, I've got my car dialed in to go this far, and now you shorten up the race. And as I've learned, just because I'm here, I'm going to make this about me, it doesn't matter what you do, people are going to complain.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right.
That's why I was getting at earlier.
Yeah.
I put the old school rules out last night. I haven't even addressed anything yet, but it's basically been like a torch party.
I'm sure,
Pickaxes
Yeah.
and torches and
Yeah.
forks, and it's just like all.
Well,
over.
you probably wrote a book too, so nobody read it.
No, actually, I did, but they didn't read it anyway because
Most people
And
can't.
another
can't read all
thing,
that.
making like a street type class or whatever,
yeah,
driving at any amount doesn't prove street
No.
when you're dealing with turbo
Yeah.
LSs.
Yeah.
Because the nitrous motor, the
and-
guy that's spraying is still big compression, big camshaft, and he's, you know what I mean?
I disagree.
Yeah.
because
I think-
my motor is a turbo LS and it's big compression, big camshaft.
We have a small big block in a red Mustang, and we will try you ahead.
But I'm saying I'm not gonna drive for the same reason.
No.
You're not gonna drive. I have a 13-to-1.
Well,
That's
I have a
Yours
13-to-1
yeah.
filled block.
And,
Yeah,
and I
you-
think
right.
I will not drive.
Yeah.
and I think at that
And
point,
I think the whole thing when all the guys were crying for that last thing, drive here, have all this chaos driving, like they're
Yeah.
crybabies. You get the crybabies that tell us that we have to sit on the. Who's the one kid that says we have to sit on the stools upside down or something? all the time?
Corleone or Joey. One of those.
One of the guys. It's
One of the
like,
guys that were.
It's like
Haters gonna
I
hate.
yeah. Those guys always
yeah.
crying like I'm not going to listen to this and this.
Yeah.
Those same guys are like drive it. It's like I
Well, and-
donated
and
a toy that looked like them
Yeah.
for Toys for Tots.
and here's where some of this came. Here's
The lesbian Barbie. Just got rid of.
where, like, Mommy, why are there scissors in the Barbie box? Give me
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Anthony, are you in there humping the pillow to Miley Cyrus again?
But that's why I like, kind of shitty roads takes
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
We don't need to drive. We don't need to prove street. 'Cause
No.
we can all do burnouts all the way down. So now let's manage it. And
And we're all
get down.
again. Go back. We're racing on the same street.
Yeah. The problem is, from your standpoint, shitty
doesn't-
roads
yeah.
don't make good footage.
And on top of that,
They make shitty
it's
footage.
not most horsepower wins. You saw what I did in my car.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
That made for good video though.
I couldn't. Well, no, it
Well,
did.
yeah, it will. I mean,
No, it will. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, you don't realize like how much power, even at that point, and like it made it further down there. But like we pulled
Tons,
power out.
yeah.
Like I had the we have trans bleeds now. All this,
Right, yeah.
I had the trans bleed on the whole time.
Yeah.
Had the thing at 5 degrees of timing, X amount of time. Like
Dude, I was getting
pulling power.
I was
Pulling
getting
spark plug wires
mine
off.
ready,
I might as well.
and I heard Nick leave, and I heard him have to lift, and I heard the other dude have to lift, and instantly I was like, "Fuck," because I knew it was gonna be a pedal fest, like, rah, rah. And I'm like, that's the most dangerous race when both are.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Because now
Well,
it's
and,
like,
and then on top of that, I'm facing them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
and,
Hey, how you doing?
and all of a sudden I just heard the
hitting you.
thud that I felt in my chest, and I was like,
And that was when my drone crashed
yeah.
yeah.
because the battery was low. The one nice drone footage, not nice, but footage we would have wanted had. The battery was low, and I fly
thought
it
that
up, and it
dude
was
was that when it would ended up in the tree?
and it went in the it's going. So,
I thought that dude
so
who
they
got it was
just
getting
because
folded.
you're supposed to give me time, so these fuckers just roll up. So I'm like trying to because this is the second one we did.
Wait. He complains when we're not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
right.
roll right up like we're
Yeah.
supposed to.
But you're doing it too.
And I'm
quickly.
doing
We're-
everything by myself
we're
at this
doing
point.
too
So I
fast.
fly the drone's already beeping at red. So I'm like,
Right.
fuck it, I got one more race in it. I fly it up. What loses its GPS signal right when it goes up. So you got a whole crowd of people at this point that are focused on the cars, but then they kind of look at me. So I'm just turning every which way, and I see the drone. Then they all look up, so the drone's just going all over the place, and you just see it was like cats. You just see all their heads going. I'm following it.
You could have had a video of that in the back,
Yeah,
like a laser.
It is like I was pointing at a laser. They were all just looking, and then it just goes, and it goes through the trees on the left, and it bounces around the tree, gets around this one set of trees, and then it just goes in the other one, and it got stuck there. And then Anthony with the
Whoever, I thought he was getting folded. Dude.
yeah.
The dude that climbed that
Yeah,
tree.
Heifer Anthony with the
Yeah.
he's got the
Oh yeah, Tony
the,
Hefner. Yeah.
the big wheel
guy. Yeah,
cutlass
Tony
or whatever.
Hefner.
Yeah. He's like, I'll go up and get it, and fucking he rolled up and
He
grabbed
got
it, and
it,
it
yeah.
recorded it didn't fuck it up. I was flying it right after I changed the battery.
Oh, shit.
But the battery got low, so it lost its GPS signal, so it doesn't
Right.
So
know
you
where to
didn't
go.
get the race.
Right.
Yeah, the one race that fucking could have had.
Well, that's when you were saying that you crashed a drone. I was expecting you like, nee.
no.
Boom.
I mean, I'm glad it went there
finish.
versus hitting
Well,
someone.
yeah.
you know?
Well, and that's and you know.
because you're like,
Oh yeah, my
Wing
finish
first.
line. Yeah, it's wing. My wing crossed the finish line first.
No, I saw that. That was a sweet reverse entry, as we
It
call it in the
was.
drift war. That was badass.
Oh, did you see the video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I always think
I had to look at it a
can't
couple
be-
of times. I
can't
was
win
like,
the
I'm
show,
like,
be the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they literally in the drift world they call that a reverse entry when you
Well,
go
it
to a
was.
turner back, go into a corner backwards.
yeah.
Like that's like the Hail Mary of drifting. Like, oh my
Back
God,
it
it did a
in, yeah.
reverse. You know.
Back it in.
So-
He skated it.
But I
he
mean,
railed
yeah.
it.
no, but I mean, same thing. I mean, I should have probably pulled the chute sooner, and then by the time I had got to the point of thinking about that,
Yeah.
because I'm like trying not to hit the other guy.
Yeah.
Well, and now you got the
And
shoot
not,
delay.
but now I'm
and-
already now I'm backwards. I'm like, well, this is gonna be dumb. It's gonna be like pulling a sheet over me. So,
Yeah.
right, or it's gonna get tangled up.
And
do
it
nothing.
takes speed for the shoot to work
Yeah.
Right.
in a
Yeah.
timely
Well, and that's-
fashion too. So I don't even know if you were going fast enough that it would have done anything. I think you would have had it.
I forget.
Slowed
I'd
up
have to
or-
go back and ask Kevin. I think
Because you
the-
crossed
at
Well,
the
you got an
finish
air
line.
launcher, so
well,
yours is a little
You got
better.
launchers?
I have a launcher.
Yeah, so yours is a little
Okay.
better.
But
than most, but
I want to say when it first shimmied like that. I think it was like 140.
Yeah, I mean, this shoe would have hit, no doubt.
Wait, you were going 140?
Oh yeah, no, it was going faster. And then, well, we went back
Sideways.
to the race pack, and you see acceleration. You're like, all right, that's pretty good for the street. Like, oh, 2-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, all right. Now we started seeing lateral G's, and then we're like, whoa! When the lateral G's became double what the acceleration G
Oh, I
was,
bet because you're scrubbing.
we're
it
like,
on.
well, here we go, and it's like,
Yeah.
It was.
That had to have been a very interesting graph to look at.
That was weird. It was weird. But like I said, we had the thing lazy, but it left good.
Yeah.
Down low was good.
The one video I
It-
posted,
it-
it leaves fucking real hard.
Yeah,
It just
it
getting to
leaves
that one
good.
point.
Every time he made a lick, even
But the thing
was
just
getting better, like-
just turns on,
Yeah,
and it was just controlling
And
and,
you got
having limited time on the street with it. Like,
Right.
you have to realize we have, we're slow if we don't have everything in by 8/10 at the track.
yeah, and I mean,
You know?
you got like a stiletto style rack and
Yep.
stuff like that. That's not a car you want to wheel.
No.
down the
wait, no, it's
street.
not
You
made.
know what I
It's
mean?
not
You're
made for
not-
major
No.
corrections.
No.
No,
You don't
and
wanna
it's
be
and it's
like,
very stiff versus going back to my old silver
Right.
hatch stuff. The thing was sloppy.
you can
like
drive
you
through
could
it,
sit there
yeah.
as like going through like mud or
Yeah,
something like
you
that.
don't wanna-
This thing's like you make a turn and it's like a
Yeah.
brick. You think you're gonna like flip over.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I'm going to
there's a
turn
bird back.
I was like, what do you keep looking at?
Yeah, I don't know what he's looking at.
He's like, this fairing's got to go.
Yeah.
He's literally reaching up there and taking parts
Yeah.
off
Well,
the
he said-
ceiling. He's
Talking
like,
about
hold on, I gotta assemble something real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Just don't drop that on me, bro.
You're,
probably
you're
stand
sitting
up
on the
and
floor,
hit
so
it.
you'll not, it won't hit you.
That's true. It doesn't, but that means it's got very far to go. Although,
that
at
thing's
this height, I
falling.
now will know what it's like to be Lonnie.
Hey, the atmosphere is different.
just getting some airflow in here.
I got
You
you.
can make more power at my level, though. So
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, going back to
And
like
you can do bigger wheelies before you have problems.
going back to like the street car, race car, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like if you're willing to put your car on the same surface, just race the car.
That's it.
Well, and
Like,
I was
I mean,
gonna
if
say,
if it's gonna be a grudge race and you're gonna ask for a
Right.
spot, that's fine. But like these shootout things and everything like that, just
yeah.
show up.
Which
and
is
race.
why I like the cast days.
Just show up and race.
Because
the fastest guy don't ever win.
no, no.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
Not every time, I should.
No,
say.
and they don't. And it's just like, go back to like when we started doing KOTS in 08. It was supposed to be a tuner's race. Like, get down the track. We didn't do anything bizarre. We walked out there and swept it off.
It's still a track, though.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. But do you know what happened the very first pass at KOTS
yeah,
in 2009?
fucking Oz and
Yeah,
Small
Mighty
Block
Mouse.
Ron.
No, Mighty
Or
Mouse.
Mighty
no,
Mouse,
yeah,
yeah.
Derek.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Luckily, Oz had insurance on that car.
Yeah, I know, because it fell off the trailer. It was terrible.
Yeah. Right.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was E's car, I think, that Derek was driving.
It was a Camaro.
No, he was
it
in a Mustang with a
black
F2 on it.
Mustang. Yeah, it was,
Yeah,
I think it
because-
was E's car.
Because I started
think.
the race, because I was flagging back then. I started the race, and I turn around as they pass me, and I look, I'm like, this is not going to
Yeah.
end well. Like, that car was never even cool. And, I mean, Oz's car, dude, was like let the button go. I mean, it just goes, It was like a machine, and, Derek, so whatever, fucking,
Well, Derek left and then blew tires off, and then
right,
Oz
unloaded it.
jumped
There's a-
out, and then he was like,
Yeah.
trying to catch him, which
Right.
was, but I was like, oh, this ain't good, dude.
No.
So I guess we'll get into that. I'll be the neutral party. They can be too, or whatever. They can talk shit. So yeah,
Oh, boy, here we go.
so KOTS evolved because of Heyo, Steve, and
yeah.
well, I mean,
I give you the back.
Figgy and Guy and all them had an idea to say, hey, why
Right,
don't we
it
just
was-
take the street shit to the track and not prep it?
Correct.
They didn't do anything with it.
Correct.
Heyo just took the idea and ran with it, and it worked. And then
Pretty much, yeah.
and
it
no
was-
prep evolved because of
Yeah,
KOTS.
yeah, because as I understand it, it was kind of a group of guys on the street.
Yeah.
Big Tim was there, Figgy was there, Guy was there, Oz I think was there, Hay was there. They were just talking about it. I think Figgy is who we officially credit with the idea.
Yeah.
Like Figgy will never ever pay to get in any of my races ever, because as far as I'm concerned, we took his idea and made it happen.
Yeah.
And credit to Steve, because he actually picked up the ball and did something with it. At that point, he called me, not because I'm like Superman, but he's like, hey, I got an idea, but I don't know anything about running in events. Do you want to do this with me? So I'm like, sure. So that's how the whole thing got born. And, obviously the first pass was a little more dramatic than we
Yeah.
wanted.
Because they didn't let anyone go down the track at that
No,
point, right?
no, it
so
was
you
all-
didn't
it was-
know.
No, it was straight off.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they walked.
Yeah.
They just took a walk down the track. I mean, you can't
Right.
really, no, you can't look at it. You can't, I'm not going to send somebody down like that. But I remember Oz got out of the car. We booked on down, or we get out of the car. Oz is laughing hysterically. We're like, what the fuck? I mean, his shit is done, And And
Yeah,
he's
it was
like,
fucked
that
up.
was awesome. I'm like, wait, what? What? What just happened here, you know? So, and at that point, like even from the top end, you could hear all of the laptops in the pits, like everybody turning their tunes down, freaking out. And we know we had a great time, you know, but it's like anything else. It's, like everybody says, you know, it's so much better when it's small and, you know, that sounds horrible. I know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so much better when the events are small and more, you know, intimate and not the big crowds and all that stuff. Dude, that's true. But unfortunately, it's hard to keep a good thing under wraps.
Yeah.
Like I remember the next year, 2009, which is when Plumber Kevin won the first one. I mean, we had to back trailers up along the fence at 41. People are on top of their cars looking over the trailers because we didn't have spectators. Like they're like practically climbing the fences. It was crazy. Like we weren't even trying not to talk about it. It was almost like a street race because people were just like swarming the place.
Yeah.
They were like, oh my God, this is great. You know, and it was literally just what I think we had 22 cars the first time. We all staged them. We all fucking pitted them into staging lanes. I mean, it was, you know, it was laid back. Just, I don't know, if we had 100 people at the whole track, I'd be shocked. Yeah, we would be shocked.
Yeah.
And aside from the whole thing with Oz and Mighty Mouse first round, we didn't have really any problems.
Yeah.
So, and that's when, you know, first time I ever met Chris Hamilton, he came up and, you know, obviously the guys that did the traveling and the guys that were big on the boards knew who he was. You know, Boosted GT's obviously like a household name down in Texas.
Yeah, back then, like he had the biggest Facebook page for whatever reason. He just
Right.
did. Like even before the Street Outlaw guys. Just
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he did right. And now he just let it go and went to shit.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know why he did that. But
I think you know knowing him, and we're not great buddies or nothing, but knowing him over the years, I think it's one of those where everything got so big, he's just like the luster kind of wore itself out because it's like a full-time job at that
yeah,
point. I think he just wants to race. That's just my opinion. There's no fact on that at all.
I mean, I don't know if it was just because I knew the internet backside
Sure.
and stuff. It was one of the biggest
Oh, yeah.
pages, and he could. I mean, I don't know. He could probably still revive it and pay someone to run it or whatever. Sure,
Probably.
Georgia's for hire.
Actually, I don't know if you've noticed, she's actually she's a web consultant now.
Oh, she's
Social
a
media
consultant. Well, that's
consultant.
why I'm saying that because
Yeah.
she runs a few pages. So
Right. So wait,
But-
whatever. Now don't knock the hustle.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean whatever. That's what I'm saying. You can make money off that stuff. So I mean, just,
Absolutely.
like I said, he was that. I remember that page as being big for whatever reason.
That was big. That's when
yeah.
that was the Dallas Fort Worth thing was huge. You know,
Yeah.
that was all their stuff, and that's Limpy and all that. And I mean, Cash Day started, I think, 2006 was his first race down there. So I mean, all the stuff, you know, between the Cash Days type events and then the No Prep with KOTS and all. I mean, it all started within a couple of years of each other.
Yeah.
You know, and then it started to kind of really gather steam when Shannon started doing Redemption on Texas, and she did that. I think 2014 was her first year, I think, and she did that in a direct response to coming up with Cody and coming up with Chris to our race at KOTS, and she's like, "Oh my God, we need this," and she started her thing, and you know
It took off.
yeah, and you know she did it, and then Matt Plotkin started doing bounty hunters, and I forget where the years cross over down there because it blew up so big down south so fast.
You got to
And
figure
even-
it's year round down there.
right into the racing
yeah.
season. I'm like, hey, when do you guys close? They're like, close? What do you mean close? You know,
Yeah.
like we race 6 months a year. They race, you know, like literally. I talked to a guy in Arizona. He goes, yeah, we're gonna take Christmas off and we're gonna do a hangover race on December 28th. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that like?
Yeah.
You know, and Shannon did a race on January 2nd. I went down to announce. I flew down there, and I'm like, all right. First thing I said is, hey, folks, it's January 2nd, and we're about to have a drag race. Like, I couldn't even wrap my mind around it, you know? I was like, what the hell's going on
Yeah,
here?
that is
Seems
nuts.
so strange for us. I mean, I'd love to live where it's warm, but there's no off season.
I know, right? You
There's no
don't.
time to
yeah.
run.
You almost need the off season.
Exactly.
You need the winter to say, okay, I can't race even if I
Yeah.
want to. So
Right.
let me.
Well, and that's
fix
why,
my
like,
shit
well,
or
when the
whatever,
no
you
prep
know?
when the no prep king stuff started, you know, obviously Reaper was in charge of that, and he's just like Reaper smash, just putting the races on top of everybody, and you know that was, you know, these kind of pissing everybody off, and then was it Pilgrim whatever took over it,
Yeah.
and then they started moving the races around because I think they realized, and this is again my opinion, I think they realized that when you are campaigning these cars so hard around a local area, these people, I mean, they don't have the resources.
Yeah.
It's killing them. So like, well, if we just put a race over there and a race over there, then we can draw off the local pools
Yeah.
and, you know, send our paid cast of half a dozen people or whatever. and and giving them fuel money, or I don't know how any of that works.
Did you see Reaper's new video from yesterday?
No, I actually. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I want to sound like a dick. I watched one of his videos, and I had to put the knives far away from me. I couldn't.
Okay, I suggest I'll send you guys the link and stuff. But I said I caught it this morning, and it's he's like tough, but it's not. This one wasn't bad. This was actually, sorry, my bad.
Slacker.
The stuff he was saying, he's just completely. He's being a dick on purpose and joking because I think he's just playing off what the internet does. And I was telling them, he's like, yeah, there's all new rules. Richard Rawlings bought it, and then. If you get the back tire, you can't use jack stands. You got to just lift the car. And like I don't think,
funny,
dude, it was. I'm like cracking up at the shit he was saying in a row and contradicting himself. That was funny. So I'll give him credit on that because I can't stand him either. But I watched it. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like I always have to use the disclaimer. I don't know him.
Yeah, he said that.
I honestly don't know him, but for the stuff I've seen, I'm just like click.
He's like, he's like the whole show is staged. We're gonna have phone lines open when the race is going on for callers to call in to see who wins. Like, dude, he just kept going at it. I was like,
That's
holy
good.
shit, yeah.
I like that. That's funny. Well, I mean, if you can have fun with it, and I know, and again, I talked to a bunch of people at PRI about, all the Street Outlaw, No Prep King stuff, because they were just curious in my opinion. I'm like, well, I should tell you I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Like, that's, just, if you tell me a racer, chances are I'm not going to know who they are.
Yeah.
So, which is not bad, because it's a unique perspective. I know pretty much everything about the stuff, but I don't know the people in that situation because I don't watch it, which is
It's boring.
Well, and I
haven't been keeping up on it.
It's at the track. It's like,
Hey, don't knock the track. I like the track. We can have a good time.
I mean, you can be track, but say you're track. Like,
well, yeah. You mean it's like you said. Like you said before, get in where you fit. Absolutely. But it's one of those. It's you can't. You can't claim to be one thing if you're not. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, dude.
What did Chief say? If you're street, then you're street. If you're not, then you're not. Yeah. It just makes no sense.
Deep thoughts with Big Chief.
Yeah. If you're not, then you're not.
Tough can eat a dick.
You like that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I could fucking play that over.
There you go. I like the one with Sean that I came up with, too. I lied to America.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh every time I hear it.
It is just because they got the fucking country voices.
Yeah, and
I lied to America.
There it is, perfect. It never gets old. But where's I going with this? But
so whatever.
Like you said, it's you have to at least own up to what you're doing. Like, I will tell you right off the bat, I haven't been on the street in 10 years. I'm totally okay with that.
So do we times that by 10 or
no? No, not literally. But I'm just saying. I mean, I don't have any incentive to go on the street. One, I don't have a race car to race on the street, and to me, like, aimless spectators on the street irritate the shit out of me.
Yeah,
they really do, and it makes it difficult for you guys that are on the street to go out and get your stuff done.
It's pretty organized.
Well, that's good. I also would like
our
to
private stuff is like
but I mean,
someone just posted a picture of the fucking shit. Garbage everywhere, and it's like, this is why you don't get invited to street racing.
Yeah. Well, I was shocked when we went to clean up yours the next day.
There was like really nothing there.
Because
I have to treat everyone like children and say, here's what's going to happen if you don't do it.
I have no idea what that feels like.
I still expected to see stuff all over, and I was pretty shocked.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty good. So props to
it's a thing that can get ruined if someone fucking does stupid shit.
But think about it. Back in the day, when we're all doing, active street racing in the 90s, dude, everybody's like, we get kicked out of, a Burger King, a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a freaking White Castle, Four Corners. You go out on Lamont, it would be like a dancing game. Be like corner to corner to corner to corner to corner. Because
4 different county or cities.
Right. It's just like, let's go to Handy Andy now. Just for the record, you got to be old to know what the hell Handy Andy even is, because it's been going so long. But
Trent went there on late nights.
Late? Oh, no, but it was always. No, my God, what's wrong with you, dude? Come on.
People leaving trash, ruin stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was always the same thing. It's like, guys, the garbage can right over there.
Yeah.
Like,
people don't give a fuck.
And
straight up.
People are
else,
stupid.
throw it in a pickup truck.
Dude, right?
Even if it ain't yours.
Seen some old dude just blowing his nose the other day and just fucking throws it right on the ground. Like, dude, come on, man.
I know. It gives people in general a bad name.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have anything. I grew up in a smoking household, for example. I have no issue with smokers. But when I see somebody flick a butt on the ground, I want to go punch them in the face.
That's a butt. I ain't gonna do nothing.
But the whole point is like, just everything counts. Everything matters. you know, and maybe I'm just
100
getting
pennies make $1.
old. Well, that's true.
You know,
That's good. That's good math.
I mean, I'm just saying, you
Public
know, a lot of
education
people-
by Lonnie.
A lot of people walk right over, you know, a penny, don't pick it up, you know,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't do it with a buck, but 100
Yeah.
pennies make a fucking buck, you know.
Yeah, it also makes a hell of a prison weapon too.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
saying.
But they also say a nickel. What's the dude from the shipping wars? I always use
I
that
don't
when
know.
that show. That was that show. It was
I know the show,
it
but
was
I couldn't-
brutal. He'd be like, "Yeah, it's a nickel holding up $1."
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's-
That dude died.
Yeah, he did. He had a
Yeah.
heart attack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What
You
it
know,
was?
I-
Roy.
Dude with the
Roy.
Roy.
I tell you what, I watched that show once, and I was on U-Ship several years before that.
Yeah.
You know, just to have a network out there. I never used it because I realized very quickly it's like eBay for retards.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, all right, I'm gonna start this load at $100. I'll do it for 25.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, whoa, wait,
you-
what?
and you
You're
know
supposed
they-
to auction up, not down.
Yeah.
And then you know everyone went after all the whoever complained because they didn't have all the DOTs and
Oh, no,
NCs and all
I'm
that
not
shit when they
surprised.
first started. So then they had I'll do it correctly and
Yeah,
and
no,
then they
so-
hired the fucking hot chick with the big tits. And,
Well, and as soon as I seen it, I mean, like I said, as soon as I seen U-Ship, and then I seen this shipping wars thing, it's all about U-Ship. I'm like, let me get this straight. It's a bunch of
it
morons.
was owned. The show was from U-Ship funded the show.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Which is a smart idea. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's a brilliant
Marketing,
idea.
yeah.
But it's one of those things where, you know, I just don't understand the idea of literally like, all right, folks, check out our new website. It is literally called racetothebottom.com. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
really, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, well, you know, at least I won. Yes, but you were literally losing money doing the load.
Well, just to let you know, that was TV.
Yes, I know.
It wasn't real.
If it happens on TV or the internet, it's
Yeah.
Dude,
real.
It is real.
did you hear about Daddy Dave getting screwed over on his rematch?
Yeah, right.
Because that was legitimate.
Oh.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, they talk. And back to the Reaper thing. He was saying, yeah, everything you hear on the internet, it's real. All the trolls, everything they say, it's real. And he just goes at it. And I believe you, people are believing it when they're watching it too.
Oh,
I
I
guarantee you.
Like,
Oh,
oh,
there's
Reaper,
some,
you're
yeah.
so wise. I love
Yeah,
it.
Richard Rawlings bought it, and he merged with the NHRA. It's going to be called Soft and no prep Soft and something or whatever.
Oh, man. Nice.
Yeah, you gotta love a guy's got a
Yeah,
sense of humor. at least.
but just to clarify, he is the tough of Oklahoma.
Is he
Oh
really?
yeah. Except I think his car is faster than tough. Oh.
No, that's unfortunately that's not. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. I just say in general, that's probably not saying much because I don't know that his
I'm
car
gonna
even
slip, hey, I'm gonna
runs.
slip out, smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, we'll pause it real quick.
Oh, you don't have to pause it. You can.
Whatever. That's
All
fine. All right. Well,
Lonnie's going to smoke a air quotes cigarette.
yeah. Gonna flick his butt out there. All right. So it's just me, Nick, and Trent.
Now is when I would play the. I used to have a sound clip back from Beavis and Butthead when I was in here, and it would be like, "Come to Butthead." It was that old song he sang. I took it off the album, and every now and then it would be like, "All right, it's just you and me."
So what made you guys move? Going back to you were talking the beginning of KOTS.
Sure.
What made you guys make the transition?
To the Grove.
Yeah.
Denny.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
I don't know though.
No, you guys might remember this. So, as you I'm sure you remember, when it started, there was no spectators, and that was
Right.
because of the rental cost,
right.
and also because it was trying, just do something low key and fun. And then we had done spectators, and I don't remember because Steve dealt with all the money. That's a whole other discussion. But, we had
You
done
nailed that thing.
no kidding. You're supposed to smoke and not eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's their motion.
Yeah. So.
Fancy.
We had done the spectators and no spectators and whatnot. And there was, at one point we had canceled or pushed one because it was going to rain or something like that. And, Denny got all bent out of shape. He goes, it didn't fucking rain. And we had friends on it. We're like, dude, it fucking poured. Like, there's nothing we could do, right? So we were back to no spectators. And I have to remember this because it's 2011. It's been a couple of years now. And, and Denny was pushing. He's like, we really need to have spectators at this thing. And Steve and I would talk about it. We're like, no, like it's just not what we want to do. And there's so much more money for the rental. I think it was like $6,000 or something like that, if I remember correctly. Which, and to Steve's credit, again, he was the one dealing with the money. I didn't want to touch it. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. Money makes people funny. Just if we make
Right.
money, just take care of me. Well, and again, another discussion for another time. So we decided no spectators. Well, this is back Facebook wasn't really a thing yet. So it was all done by, Chi-Town Racing, Streetcar Chaos, all that shit.
Right.
Forums and stuff.
Right. And Denny decided it'd be fun to just tell people, the day before the race, he put a big post out about, KOTS coming to 41, spectators welcome, $15, blah, 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 come one, come all. Never talked to us, at all.
Okay.
So now, and then mind you, Steve works we're not far from here, actually. He works at a chemical plant in Joliet. So he doesn't have access to the internet all the day, right? And so he calls me, or I call him. I'm like, dude, have you heard about what's going on? I had like a morning work and then like evening work. So I had kind of some dead time in the middle of the day. And
But at this point, was Steve fully renting it, or Denny had partnered up?
no, this was this straight track rental. There was no splits or anything like that.
Okay, so all right.
So,
So
but-
technically, Denny went out of his.
Yeah, he was totally out of his lane.
Yeah.
And I called Denny, like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, y'all ain't going to make the decision. I'm going to make it for you. You guys got to grow this thing. I'm like, well, this is not your decision to make, Denny. He goes, well, I don't think you have a fucking leg to stand on. I'm like, okay. I called Steve and talked to him, and he's freaking out, rightfully so. He's like, dude, he's like, I can't do anything. What's going on? I'm like, told him, I said, Denny fucking told people spectators are coming, and people are freaking out. And, and I said, what do you want to do? He goes, I want to fucking shoot him in the face. Totally justified. I'm like, I got an idea. He goes, okay. I'm like, do you trust me? He goes, of course. I'm like, all right, I'll call you back. He's like, okay. Mind you, I'm calling his office. I got his office number, right? Because he can't use his cell phone at work. So I call Randy Henning up at the Grove, and he had been bugging me for a couple of years about, bringing the KOTS race up there. And I said, we have no reason to leave 41, and why would we do that? I called Randy. I said, so you still want KOTS? He goes, well, of course. I'm like, all right, cool. You can have it. He's like, I'm listening. It was a very quiet conversation. It was very funny. He goes, okay, I'm listening. I'm like, you need to clear your schedule tomorrow and scrape the track as far as you can. If you can promise me those things, we'll bring it there tomorrow. He's like, tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's like 20 hours away. I said, yeah, I know. You want to do it or not? He goes, done. I'm like, all right, cool. Call Steve. I'm like,
Still private.
Still, no, hold on. I'm like, all right, cool. That's all I need to know. I'll take care of the rest. I call Steve. I'm like, Steve, I got this. He's like, what? He's like, what happened? I'm like, we're going to the Grove. He's like, we're going to the what? I'm like, we're going to the Grove. He's like, why would we do that? I'm like, I'm like, dude, you want to swallow Denny's nuts? Because that's what we're going to do if we go to 41.
Pretty much. So
Denny basically put us over a barrel. And so Steve, he gets real excited about that shit. He's like, fuck that, fucking post it. I'm like, no. Like, we're going to play chess with this motherfucker. Yeah. We're going to not give him time to respond. And I said, I'm just going to tell people we're working on it. I'm sorry for the headache. And Steve and I are going to talk after he gets off work, that sort of thing. Like 7 o'clock, we drop this press release on Chi-Town, apologies and blah, blah, blah. And, KOTS will be held as scheduled. We look forward to seeing you at Wisconsin's Great Lakes Dragaway. Spectators welcome, $15. Denny, kiss my ass. It was really funny. And we lost a couple of guys because they either were pissed or they couldn't make the drive.
Yeah.
Whatever, I understood. But that was like step one in like the, explosion of popularity for the event. The next one was actually with Mantilla and Boost 12. That was the big one.
Right.
Well, that was when 1320 had started coming up by then, and Boost 12 and Mantilla had lined up.
He drove around him at the end.
Yeah. Joey's car went out, and I didn't know this at the time, and I still will live this down in video infamy because I thought he lifted when he stalled, and Paul's car, as usual, did everything but go straight.
I had
running out of
alerts.
time.
No, I had an
He's over
alert.
looking at his watch. He's like, all right, enough story time. So Paul's car was all over the track, which is pretty much what it always did.
Yeah.
Well, he saw Joey's car nose over, so he got it composed again back in his lane because he was behind Joey.
Yeah.
Gets back in his lane and passes him. This is the luxury of quarter-mile racing, by the way, not just, eighth mile. Anyway, and grabs a wind lane, and the crowd just goes nuts. And, I mean, the video went viral. It went everywhere. It was like
talking to him after.
Yeah.
right.
I just wanted to win.
I remember that, you loser, Joey.
Well, and Joey was so mad. He goes, I didn't fucking lift. I'm like, I didn't know. Like, I mean, Joey was a street kid. I'm like, I can't believe he lifted, but I didn't know he stalled. I figured he saw Paul behind him. He's like, oh, this is over.
Yeah.
Why beat on the car? And Paul's like, woo! So yeah, it was that was a big one. But that's you were asking about how we got to the Grove, and that's how it happened.
So then it was at the Grove for how many years before?
Well, technically speaking, the last KOTS at the Grove was June of 2018.
So 7 years.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
And then what started?
Then the KOTS drama continues to.
I feel like we need like violin.
Yeah, let's see what I got on here. I don't know.
That's actually pretty funny.
I don't even know what these buttons are. I can't remember.
Well, it looks like a Twister game.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. That's to go back to the memories.
Oh my God. You need to put like little stickers next
Well,
to
it had a little board. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere
yeah,
over
yeah.
here with all
All
the
we
names
know is
on
that
it.
the green one does this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tuff was set up at PRI, and his booth sounded like this in the men's bathroom.
Yeah, that's not even right.
Yeah.
You realize that's way too far for him to drive.
I know.
Over, right?
Yeah.
Like last time he went to Indy, he brought the jet and had somebody else.
Yeah,
pull
you know,
it.
and not to, let's jump. Yeah, you were down there. Okay, so we're just gonna do a quick jump of 2 minutes just to fucking dig it in for him more.
Oh boy.
So this idiot, we're group texting me, Nick, Boost 12, Tuff, I think Big Tim, and Chief had then texted me and said he will show up and bring his car. His car's in Indy. He'll get down with Tuff, blah, blah, blah. And Tuff was supposed to be down there Friday night, and this race was supposed to happen Saturday. And then, Saturday fucking morning rolls around. He didn't even leave yet. And then I was
gig.
Yeah, right. And then, supposedly it was going to snow at this point. And then it starts snowing down here. So it's Saturday.
Convenient that you brought a jet.
Yeah.
Snow?
Yeah.
We're not worried about snow. We'll just push it backwards a little bit.
So mid-morning, Boost Joey hangs around. I forget who else hung around. And then they stayed there Saturday night. Tuff got there at like 10 o'clock at Saturday night. I'm like, fuck this. I went home. And then Tuff just fucking did that whole ordeal and made himself look like a joke.
And it's funny, too, because a couple of my friends, like
with a jet car,
went down there. Like, we're going to go down and watch Chief race Tuff in the jet. You want to go? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I can tell you how this is going to happen. You're going to go down there. You guys are going to argue, and you're going to bitch and piss and moan, and you're going to leave with the worst case of blue balls you ever heard in your life. And you're going to go, why did I drive 4 hours for this?
And he had no intentions of ever racing.
Still doesn't.
I mean, it makes for a good. It makes for a good story. Don't get me wrong. It makes for a very interesting story. But
Bedtime story.
Yeah. In his short shorts.
Yeah.
oh God, you stop. Like I was kind of laughing, thinking about like Tough Enough reads bedtime stories. Page 1.
Yeah,
Why?
but he's got
He didn't get paid.
his whatever from the.
I was just thinking from like the waist up.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
the cutoff.
It was
sleeves
like
and the cigarettes.
1999 in that video. No one was wearing
95.
those cut off shorts like that. They were
95. if
up
you wanna
his
get paid.
freaking crotch. His jean shorts that he had cut like fucking worse than Daisy Dukes.
Remember, safety first.
Yeah, right. Freshly shaved legs.
Not even right.
So,
So where
all
were
right.
we before you went off
Moving
on your
on
Tough
from-
Enough?
Yeah,
page?
so
What you
7 years
started.
at what?
No.
So 7 years at KOTS or 7
Oh, at
years
the
at
Grove,
GLD,
yeah,
and then the other bomb drops.
Yeah, and there's it's one of those I've told the story once or twice.
Yeah.
And people ask, what happened? I'm like, well, why don't you lean back and crack open a cold one, and I'll tell you, because you can't tell the story short because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The long and short of it, and I'm sure at some point Steve will hear this. So, Steve, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm not going to make anything up because that's just not what I do. The long and short of it is that the situation came up, and Steve lost his vacation time to take off to do the race. He takes like a week off. So, and I understand. We all got jobs. I mean, he's no different in that respect. And I said, that's, okay. I said, that's okay. I said, we can work around this. Like I started thinking of, what are we going to have to do to work around this? Now, the way that we had developed the event is that most of his work was done in the promotion end of it. He getting the racers, putting the money together, all this stuff. By the time we got to race day, that was all me. And that was by design so that he could enjoy the fruits of his labor. Yeah. Like I thought that was fair because I like running the event. I was good at it, and that's what I did. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, will Lisa be there? And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, then, dude, we got this. Like, we can totally make you look like a working class hero on this. Totally. I'm thinking like the PR standpoint, right? And he said, actually, I think we got to cancel. I'm like, no, you're just thinking crazy. He goes, no, I really think we got to cancel. So
It was like a week before, no?
it was a
Couple weeks.
It was
real close though.
Yeah, it was like just shy of 3 weeks or something like that. And after a couple times, he told me this, and I'm like, well, hold on. I'm like, pump the brakes for a second. I'm like, are you serious right now? He goes, yeah. I'm like, all right, dude. I'm like, just listen to what you're saying. I'm like, I want to talk you through this because I think maybe you're just not thinking straight. I understand you're upset or whatever it may be. I said, this is not a good idea. Like, people spend thousands of dollars planning and building and taking time off of work. I mean, honestly, sidetrack on that. When somebody told me, they messaged me, I think on the KOTS page, because it was an admin, right? I just want to let you know that I just got my company vacation approved so I can come down to the race. Like, dude, that's like the biggest compliment I've ever had in my entire life. Like somebody's going to schedule their vacation around our stupid ass drag race, you know? So, I always took it real seriously, and I understood that he was stressed out about not being able to be there, but the way I saw it is it wasn't going to affect the day of the race. You know, it would be kind of a bummer, to not be there. I get it.
Yeah.
But he started getting really stuck on this, well, I think we got to cancel it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, this is not going to go well. Like, and I don't want to sound too full of myself, but I won't say talked him off the ledge because that's not accurate, but I've been able to reason and help him to see like the bigger picture on a couple things.
Because you are the voice of reason.
Well, I mean, let's not. Okay, yeah, I am. Anyway, no, but and so we had a good relationship like that, and I was like, all right, we'll get through this. It'll be fine, and then it wasn't fine. I talked to him. He said, we're going to go with the cancellation. It's what feels right to me. And he goes, and I would appreciate if you'd write the press release. I'm like, that's not going to happen. I'm like, you make whatever decision you want. I said, I'm not on board with it, and I am not helping in any way, shape, or form. I said, dude, you are fucking these races. I mean, I got mad, admittedly. I got really upset. Yeah. Because as any of these guys know, I take it real seriously with the racers because it's all I have in like this little world, And he and I started to kind of, have some friction there. And I said, dude, you can't do this to these people. Like, you just can't. Like, I was so irritated on their behalf. And, obviously I took kind of it personally too, because dude, that's what I do is run the race. Like suddenly now I'm thinking, well, you don't trust me to run the race. You don't trust me around the money or something. Like I'm just starting to totally overanalyze the whole thing. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, son of a bitch, what are these people going to do? And I told him, I said, dude, you're on your own. I said, if that's what you want to do, you're going to do it without me. And he goes, well, that's what I'm going to do. I said, all right. That's pretty much what it is. And at that point I went out of character. A lot of people said I threw him under the bus when the drama started, got ugly. That's not accurate. What I did do is I let the cat out of the bag because as soon as he made that decision and our conversation was final, and mind you, I did pen a big press release, but it was actually an open letter to him. And when he made the decision, I emailed him the letter and told him exactly how I felt. I didn't publicize it, but it was detailed. And at that point, I knew that the relationship was probably over. And it sucked because it felt like a divorce. And now I had a decision to make. Am I just going to sit back and not do anything? Because the problem I had is that my history with him is that he had a knack of not doing things in the timetable that he told me he would do them. So now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we got less than 3 weeks. I'm like, what if he sits on this decision for like 2 weeks and then lets it out a week before? It's going to be madness.
Yeah.
And then what happens if all of a sudden it comes out that I knew about this 2 weeks ago and did nothing? I'm done.
And you're the asshole, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I'm not, dude, I mean, I would have taken a bullet for him in our prime. And, we were a good team, but I'm like, I ain't going down for this. So that's when I made the decision to basically release the information before he did. Not because I was trying to one-up him, because I just didn't know he was going to do it.
Clear yourself too.
Yeah.
Well, it was not so much self-serving. I'm not going to say.
No, not in that sense.
It was just a matter of
I don't agree with this.
Right, and
you know what I mean. This is what's
and
as a racer, that would have sucked if it would have.
Well, and that was the thing. And
I mean, we're local,
right?
And it still would have sucked.
Well,
even
still
this local,
right?
I mean, and we had people, traveling in from states away, and I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, I can't afford to do this shit that they do. I feel privileged to do what I do, and at that point, and I didn't say, Steve's an asshole when he did this. I said, listen, I'm just telling you guys right now, Steve has decided to cancel KOTS. I'm not on board with this. I'm sorry. I was upset. I mean, I did kind of a live feed over it, and it wasn't, I mean, a lot of people got mad. I lost some friends over it, but I still feel I made the right move, because I felt the racers deserved that. Whether or not we had another race, it wasn't even on my mind at that point. And after that whole thing happened, about halfway through that day, because I had to go to work, so I'm like driving through work, and just like vibrating. I'm so irritated. And friends are calling me, my phone's blowing up. Holy fuck, what's going on? And and finally somebody's like, well, what are we going to do now? I don't even remember who said it. And I was like, we're going to have a fucking race. That's what I do. I put on races. That's what I do. So at least to me, that was the only answer. And, because the same thing, the racetrack had called. They're like, what's going on?
Well, the nice thing is, the track was already free that day.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, yeah, it's like, hey, you guys got some time?
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, it's a fucking name. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's not like anything was going to change.
Well, and that's, my whole thing going to the name for a second, just to clear up some myths, there was a lot of rumors going around that he canceled it because the Grove tried to steal the name. Now, the truth of it is they did make an application to trademark that name that day, about 2 hours after the news came out, because the logic was, because I heard about it and I asked them, why would you do that? They said, well, here's what it boils down to. If he's going to stop doing events, KOTS has been here and grown here. We're going to protect that name. We're not going to necessarily want to use it. But we don't want anybody else using it, because that kind of stuff does happen. Somebody bails on something or something collapses, somebody will swoop in and take it and run with it and go, yeah, we've been doing it since day one, and nobody knows the difference because they're not in the inside. So that's what actually happened. And that whole action was contested and eventually dropped. You know, Steve owns the name now, fine, whatever. But he had never made any, despite a lot of recommendations from myself and other people, he never secured all the legal rights to his name and all that stuff. So
he secured KOTS or King of the Streets?
At the time, nothing. At the time, it was nothing. As far as I know, he's got it all now. You know, I think it's mostly the lettering, you know, the logo style and all that. Because I mean, it's hard to like, you know, own words. Like I own the word Prince. You know, you know, you can't do that or whatever it is. So, you know, at that point, and now my focus is on, you know, damage control and what do we do? And that's when I started talk to you at length. And for those who don't know, the name Anarchy actually came from the guy sitting to my left.
Yes. I own all the rights to it.
Well, let's not get carried away. But, you know, I was fortunate that a lot of people, some that were involved with KOTS and some that weren't, had reached out and said, you know, we heard about what happened. You know, is there anything we can do? What are you going to do? Just offering help. But it was super flattering. Like, it was really humbling that people were just willing to reach out and help. Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I guess we're going to do another race. You know? Now, the good news is it wasn't like it was rocket science to continue. It was basically just picking up the pieces and throwing some flex tape on it and rolling, you know? So it worked out well. And, you know, the hardest thing it was, and thank you for the help, was figuring out what the fuck we're going to call it. Because, you know, it's got to be something interesting, and it's got to be something that hasn't been done before. So we started bouncing. It's like me and 3 other guys, and then I was talking to Juice, and he's like, what about Anarchy? Now, I just finished about 2 months ago binge watching the entire series of Sons of Anarchy, right? And I'm like, dude, you got to get away from the motorcycles. We're not doing Judas Priest, Hellbent for. He goes, no, just the name Anarchy. He goes, it's kind of edgy. And I was like, so I start looking. There's no social media on it. There's no website. There's no drag race series. There was a team in Texas called Texas Anarchy. It's in Texas, far enough away. I'm not worried about it. So here we are.
And didn't anarchy mean like rebellious or something too? Anyways,
well, anarchy means basically no rule of law.
Yeah.
So
word comment.
It
kind of worked out.
It was fairly appropriate. And then, you know, that event in 2018 basically went under the catchphrase, the race must go on.
Yeah.
You know, because that was kind of my mentality. The show must go on. You know, I had some experience, you know, dealing with production stuff, and the number one rule in any production, doesn't matter what happens, the show has to go on. Doesn't matter if the truck crashes and the shit don't show up. Do the show, get more equipment. It does not matter. So that was kind of what it says on the back of my hoodie, as a matter of fact. So, and, you know, and here we are. So we did that event, and my whole goal for the September 18 event, which was the first technical Anarchy event, was to give people the race that they were expecting. I didn't change anything other than the name. I said, everything's be the exact same. We're not changing a fucking thing. I just want to give people what they're expecting. And, you know, we did it. And then for 2019, you know, added some stuff and changed some things around.
That took off.
And
Awesome.
yeah, and thank you. And tried to, I had to come up with a name for it, because the guy was asking me, he goes, I was at your race, and he goes, and you did it differently. What do you call that? And I was like, what did I call it? I said, I call it a continuous action event. Or something like that. It was basically the logic was to streamline the event, and I did it all just with mathematics. I'm like, okay, we got like 9 hours of time, and I literally just math upon math. I mean, basic math. I mean, I'm not a fucking statistician or nothing like that. My 8th graders or my high school freshman is 20 times better at math than I am. But I was just trying to figure out, how do you get these cars down the track? And that's when I basically cut all the classes to 16, and I made a bunch of classes. I got 14 classes, which on paper sounds insane, but if you have the time, I'll give you the example so you understand how it works. I call it 128 cars in a pile, okay? Round math works like this, going from the finals backwards. It goes finals, okay? You've got 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. 128 is 7 rounds, 64 is 6 rounds, 32 is 5 rounds, okay? It's all pretty basic stuff. So assuming you have 128 cars to run and you want to give them an hour to turn the cars, which is fair, you're going to have an epic first round, and then you're going to have an hour of downtime. And then you're going to have a bigger big second round. But by the time you get down to the semis and the quarters, you have an hour of time between rounds. And obviously that's not acceptable. So I started thinking, if you cut that in half, now instead of one class of 128, you've got two classes of 64. So now you do the whole thing over again, and your theoretical downtime at the end is 30 minutes between rounds. So if you cut it again, and instead of 264, you've got 4 at 32, now you cut it down to 15 minutes. And I'm like, well, what if we just go to 8 classes of 16? Now you cut your theoretical downtime to 7.5 minutes, and that was kind of like the aha moment. So the way it translated, we had like 185 cars, and throughout the entire course of the day, our average time between passes down the track was, I think, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. It was pretty good. And that was the average. I mean, we had it much faster and we had it much slower. We had a couple of reruns and some other shit, but, it just worked because the racers aren't stressed out because, like using you as an example, it takes time to turn your car around. Well, like I had guys tell me they would come up to the lane guys, like, hey, are we going to run again? Because we've been done for like 40 minutes. Well, yeah, we're about to call you right now. Oh, really? So they could like turn the car and then like go up to the line and watch a race, go get some food, just walk around, talk to people in the pits. And the staff guys, they're not stressed out because they're not trying to like flip the guy's cars on 20 minutes because then nobody wants to do that. And the spectators aren't pissed because the spectators are just seeing cars and cars and cars and cars and they don't care. As long as they got cars, they're happy. So it was a gamble, but it worked. So now we just get to try to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Cool.
There you go. That's the math. So added ladies only, which is like a bracket thing. I do it with card chicks, just something different.
Tough races.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it.
Right. And kind of the standout class was one I cooked up, and it's totally selfish. It's right up your alley, Lonnie. And old school.
I do like it.
And it was totally selfish because it's something I was like, it's the stuff I like and I wanted to see it. So I came up with some fairly loose rules on it. And that's where like right now today, there's been a lot of drama because the new old school rules came out last night and there's some restrictions on it. And, I haven't talked to guys about it yet. I want them just let them vent and cool off.
People are going to hate you no matter what.
Oh, I know that. I know that.
It doesn't matter.
But what I know, and I was telling some of the guys that have helped me with this, they're kind of stressed out because everybody's yelling and, you're making it around his car, you're making it around his car. So just relax. You got to let them vent because no one's going to even listen. Right. Like if I get involved right now, it's just going to be like, you're a motherfucker, you killed the class and you son of a bitch. And just calm down. People have a dialogue, and dude, I ain't perfect. So if some of the rules suck, okay, well then let's talk about it. Like and my whole thing is, one of the guys, who is it? Oh, Plumber Kevin. Why can't these guys get a real payout? It's $100 entry. I mean, it's not going to be a big payout. So the idea is I don't want guys purpose building cars for this class. Right. Too loud or too?
Oh, it's just me. I have to turn it down a little bit.
I can get quieter.
You can keep talking.
Talking of whisper. So, but the idea is, I'm kind of pushing like the whole fun factor with the whole program. Like, and with the 28, the heavy hitting stuff, it's so expensive. And it's, I don't want to see those classes die, but unfortunately the numbers don't lie. It's hard to get the numbers in those big dollar classes anymore. So it'll continue on, but I think, like anything else, the future is going to be in the street stuff and the slower stuff and stuff people can relate to more. And you got a bigger pool to, pull from. And the 275 stuff is huge right now. Everybody wants to go for a cruise. That's the big thing. We got a cruise because that's how it started. Yeah. They're going to learn that the cruise won't change much.
Yeah, right. It doesn't do anything.
But it's one of those. I tried to put rules on that class beginning of 2019. They lost their minds. You can't just give us a cruise. We can't do that. I didn't think we could do the cruise logistically at the Grove. I didn't think they'd get back in. So I think we figured it out. So I told them we're going to cruise this year, and I said, and then you guys are going to say, maybe we should put some rules on it for 2020 because it's going to be a bloodbath. But sometimes you have to give the people what they want before they will
realize.
See how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, and what I always say is you got to give them what they want so that they will realize what they need. Because right now they need a little bit of rules and they need a little bit of parity, but they're not going to listen to that until they get what they want. That's my philosophy, if you will.
Problem is everybody's scared to lose. Nobody wants to lose.
There's a lot of that.
And somebody has to lose.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people have.
Millennial
15
right.
out of 16 cars.
Well,
millennial mentality.
And nobody wants to just have fun. No more.
Well, actually, I'm glad you said that because that brings me up to my new event called the Participation Olympics, and everyone will get a trophy, and we will all just
We'll
drive.
just call that Northside Racing.
Wow!
Yeah,
Wow!
pretty much.
Wow!
Yeah.
But on that note, my ass is falling asleep from
Dude,
sitting
mine
on
too,
this,
man.
this,
That's
this
it.
chair.
I need
That's
a
what
cigarette.
That's what
I
happens
left
when you
my
bring me
phone
in,
in
dude.
the
I'd
truck.
Yeah,
put you all to sleep.
unfortunately, we thought Trent was going to get the shitty end of the stick, and he got the comfortable chair just lower.
Yeah.
I'm just used to sitting down all day.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
I
well,
guess that's
you
gonna
guys have fun. We're out.
All right. Thanks for having me.
And then tough enough.